The iron was white-hot against his palm, searing skin that did not bleed but smoked with violet vapor. Jace twisted his wrist, feeling the bone of his own forearm grind as he forced the cursed blade deeper into the throat of the beast before him. The creature shrieked, a sound like grinding glass, and thrashed, its claws raking deep furrows across Jace's leather jerkin. He didn't flinch. He couldn't. To let go was to be disemboweled on the jagged rocks of the Whispering Coast. Rain fell in sheets, heavy and cold, mixing with the black ichor spraying from the monster's wounds. Jace kicked off the creature's chest, rolling onto his back in the mud, gasping for air that tasted of ozone and rot. Above him, the sky was a bruised purple, torn open by lightning that struck without thunder. The beast rose again, larger now, its flesh knitting together with visible tendrils of shadow pulling muscle to bone.
Come on.
Wiping blood from his eye.
Is that all you have?
The beast lunged. Jace drew the second dagger, not steel, but a shard of obsidian infused with a single drop of royal blood, his own. The metal hummed in his hand, the only thing keeping the shadows at bay. He parried the claw, the impact shattering his wrist's defense and sending him sliding backward toward the cliff edge. Below, the churning sea waited. He looked left. A gang of 3 more shadow wolves emerged from the mist, eyes glowing with the same violet light as his own cursed magic. To his right, a fallen pillar blocked retreat. He was outmaneuvered, outgunned, and out of time. The beast's jaw opened, revealing rows of needled teeth dripping with corrosive saliva. Jace raised his hands, the obsidian shard flaring brightly, but the light was fading. The magic was burning him from the inside out, turning his veins black.
Wait.
Not to the beast, but to the ground beneath him.
Just a second.
The earth cracked. Not from an attack, but from an invitation. Jace slammed both palms into the fissure. The shadows screamed as they were pulled into the dark below, dragging the beasts with them. One wolf clawed at his boot, its teeth snapping inches from his face. Jace kicked it free, then threw himself backward into the abyss, just as the cliff crumbled above him. The fall was silent. The darkness swallowed him whole. Stripped of his crown and exiled, a fallen prince relies on sharp intellect and forbidden magic to rise again. He builds a deadly web of spies and assassins from society's darkest corners. With shadows as his allies, he plots to reclaim the throne he once lost in silence. Before we get into the story, do me a quick favor. Like this video, subscribe, and comment what story you want to see next. Now, let's begin. 3 days earlier, Jace sat on the edge of a crumbling fountain in the center of Oakhaven's market square, his boots dangling over dry, cracked stone. He wore a simple tunic, stained with dirt and old wine, but the fabric hung loosely on a frame that had not known hunger in weeks. He was too clean for a beggar, too sharp-featured for a laborer. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, scanned the crowd not with fear, but with the cold assessment of a hunter watching prey wander into a trap. A shadow fell over him. Jace didn't look up. He kept his gaze fixed on a rat scurrying across the cobblestones.
"You're blocking the fountain,"
a voice said. It was smooth, cultured, and entirely lacking in warmth. Jace tilted his head back slightly. Standing above him was a man in a velvet coat, the color of dried blood, holding a cane topped with a silver fox's head. His face was handsome in a severe way, all sharp angles and pale skin that suggested he spent more time in libraries than under the sun. This was Lord Vane, one of the king's 3 high inquisitors.
I'm resting.
His voice rough from disuse.
And you're shouting at a statue. People are staring.
Vane's lip curled.
"I am not shouting. I am announcing your presence to those who matter. Stand up, boy. The king does not appreciate loiterers in his square."
Jace finally looked at him, raising an eyebrow.
The king is busy starving his people and executing dissenters. I don't think he's noticed the fountain.
Vane stepped closer, the tip of his cane tapping rhythmically against Jace's knee. Tap.
"You have the arrogance of a fallen noble. It is charming, in a pathetic sort of way, but arrogance gets you killed quickly in Oakhaven. Do you know why I'm here?"
Jace shrugged, picking at a loose thread on his cuff.
To arrest me? To kill me? You've had plenty of chances before.
I have been ordered to offer you a choice.
his voice dropping to a whisper that only Jace could hear.
Come with me voluntarily to the Citadel. Confess to the theft of the royal seal, plead for mercy, or refuse, and be hunted down by every Inquisitor in the province until your blood waters these stones.
Jace stopped picking at his thread. He looked up, meeting Vane's cold gaze directly.
And if I refuse, then you are already dead. You just haven't realized it yet.
Jace laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound.
You think I'm afraid of death? I died the day they stripped my title and cast me from the castle. Death is just an old friend I haven't seen in a while.
Vane's eyes narrowed.
Then consider this your last courtesy. The seals are already drawn up. Your name is on the list. Sign it, or burn with it.
He tossed a parchment onto Jace's lap. It fluttered down, landing softly against his knees. Jace stared at the paper. He could feel the weight of it, the finality of ink and wax. If he signed, he lived as a slave in the dungeons. If he refused, he died as a martyr to no one. He looked up at Vane.
Tell me something, Lord Vane. When you sign those death warrants, do you sleep well?
Vane straightened his coat, looking visibly irritated by the question.
I serve the crown. That is all that matters.
The crown is a corpse, and you're just the maggot picking its bones.
Vane's hand went to the hilt of his sword. The crowd nearby stopped moving. Whispers rippled through the square like wind through dry grass.
Careful, beggar.
His voice low and dangerous.
One more word and I will have you dragged to the gates myself.
Jace stood up slowly, brushing the dust from his trousers. He was a head shorter than Vane, but he carried himself with a stillness that made Vane hesitate.
Tell the king
Turning away,
that the heir returns not with an army, but with a shadow, and shadows cannot be arrested.
he walked past Vane, leaving the parchment on the stone edge of the fountain. He did not look back. He could feel Vane's eyes burning into his spine, waiting for him to run, to beg, to break. But Jace kept walking, step by steady step, toward the city gates that led nowhere. A hand grabbed his shoulder from behind, strong, unyielding. Jace didn't struggle. He just sighed. Vane's voice came from right beside his ear, cold as ice.
Then you have a choice, the dagger or the chains.
Jace turned, his hand slipping into his pocket to close around the hilt of his hidden blade. His heart beat once, slow and heavy. Then he smiled.
I prefer the third option.
Instead, he held up his left hand, palm open, displaying 3 long, scarred fingers that twitched with suppressed energy.
I have a fourth choice.
His voice low enough to be a secret between them, yet sharp enough to cut the tension.
You let me walk out of Oakhaven. I disappear into the wastes, and you tell the king I died of fever in this square.
Vane's eyes flicked to the crowd gathering behind them. The merchants had stopped haggling. The guards were tensing, hands drifting to their sword belts. The air smelled of rain and fear.
If you walk away,
Tapping his cane against Jace's chestplate,
you are a ghost. Ghosts do not exist, but shadows have long memories. Do you think you can hide from the Inquisitor's sight?
I don't need to hide.
stepping back until his heels met the dry edge of the fountain basin,
I just need to move faster than your reach.
Vane sneered.
Your magic is a dying spark, boy. The royal seal was stolen, not taken by force. You know the laws. Theft from the crown is treason. Treason is death.
Treason requires a trial. I'm not here for a trial. I'm here for an exit.
Vane's expression hardened into something cruel and professional. One drew a short, curved dagger. The other unclipped a net of weighted silver links from his belt.
Then you leave me no choice. Seize him.
Jace didn't wait for them to close the distance. He kicked off the stone edge, driving his knee into the nearest Inquisitor's groin. The man doubled over with a wet gasp, the silver net clattering to the cobblestones. Jace spun, using the momentum to swing his elbow into the second man's throat. There was a sickening crunch of cartilage, and the guard collapsed, gagging for air that would not come. Vane watched, unmoving, as his men fell. He did not draw his sword. He merely tilted his head, examining Jace like a specimen in glass.
Fast, but clumsy. You rely on muscle because your spirit is fractured.
Blood dripped from his knuckles onto the dry stones,
It's your friends who are broken.
a sound of genuine disappointment. He snapped his fingers. The silver net on the ground suddenly surged upward, not by wire or hand, but by sheer force of will. It wrapped around Jace's ankles like a living snake, the links tightening with magnetic force. Jace grunted as he was yanked off balance, crashing onto his back. The second Inquisitor scrambled up, drawing his dagger again. Vane raised a finger, stopping him.
No.
Jace struggled against the net, but the silver burned where it touched his skin, searing flesh and numbing his limbs. His magic flared in response, a violet spark in his veins, but it sputtered and died before it could break the metal. He lay still, chest heaving, staring up at the gray sky,
You're making a mistake.
his voice tight with pain.
If I come with you, I'll break your citadel from the inside.
Vane leaned down, bringing his face close to Jace's. The scent of old parchment and dried roses drifted from him.
You are already broken, Prince Kalen. Or is it Jace now? It doesn't matter. Names are privileges granted by kings. You have none left.
Jace's eyes narrowed. Vane straightened, brushing a speck of dust from his velvet sleeve.
There is no back, Jace. There is only forward, into the dark. Let us see how far your shadow stretches when it has nowhere to hide.
He gestured to the remaining guard.
Drag him to the wagon. We leave at dusk, and bind his hands. Do not let him touch his weapon.
The wagon rattled over the cobblestones, the wheels splashing through puddles of mud and rainwater that had begun to fall again. Jace sat hunched in the corner of the wooden box, his wrists bound tightly with iron manacles that dampened any residual magic he might summon. Inside the wagon were 3 prisoners and 1 guard. The guard sat on the bench at the front, watching the road through the slats. In the back corner with Jace sat an old woman, her face wrapped in a stained shawl, clutching a small carved wooden bird to her chest. To Jace's right lay a young man, unconscious from a blow to the head, his shirt torn and bloody. The old woman shifted closer to Jace as the wagon lurched over a rut. She did not speak, but her eyes, pale and watery, met his for a fleeting second. There was no fear in them, only a profound, weary sadness.
You look like him.
Her voice cracking with age. The one they hung from the tower. He counted the seconds between the clinks of iron, measuring his restraint.
He was my brother.
So the guard could not hear over the rain.
You were both kings in your own right. Now you are just meat for the grinder.
Jace turned his head slightly, studying her profile. She was thin, her skin papery and spotted with age, but her hands were steady.
Why do you say that? Because men who wear crowns often forget they have feet, and men who lose their crowns often forget they still walk.
The wagon turned sharply onto a narrower road, the trees closing in on either side like silent witnesses. The light faded quickly as clouds gathered overhead. Jace felt the vibration of the wheels change, signaling a shift from stone to dirt. He asked, his voice flat,
The Citadel,
not turning around.
King's Road, then the Black Bridge.
The Black Bridge was a legend in Oakhaven, a structure of black stone that spanned the chasm of whispers leading to the capital itself. It was said that only those with royal blood could cross it without being consumed by the miasma below. Vane had taken a risk bringing him this far. If Jace's blood truly held power, the bridge might betray him.
You're nervous.
I'm calculating.
Jace corrected.
There's a difference. How much longer? Until we cross the bridge, or until I decide to stop.
The guard turned his head slightly, one eye visible through the slats.
You won't stop. You're bound by iron and oath.
Jace smiled, a cold, thin expression.
Iron bends, oaths break, but shadows slip through cracks.
He felt a twitch in his fingers beneath the manacles. The magic was dormant, not dead. It slept, waiting for the right key to wake it, and he knew exactly what that key was, the royal seal itself. Vane had taken it, but he didn't know how to use it. He was a thief with a jewel he couldn't sell. The wagon slowed as it approached a narrow pass between 2 steep cliffs. The trees were gone, replaced by jagged rock faces slick with rain. In the distance, the sound of rushing water grew louder, a roar that vibrated in Jace's teeth.
The chasm, it sings today.
Jace looked through the gap between the wagon doors. Below, a river of white foam crashed against black rocks, throwing up mist that reached halfway to the bridge's arches. The Black Bridge loomed ahead, a dark ribbon of stone spanning the abyss. It was beautiful and terrifying, built by hands long dead. Vane's voice came from inside Jace's mind, not spoken but projected, sharp and invasive. Look at it, heir. That is your throne, and that is your grave. Jace gritted his teeth, focusing on the rhythm of his breathing. Instead, he looked at the old woman.
What is your name?
She blinked, surprised by the question.
Ilara,
Just Ilara.
Ilara, when I get us across that bridge, you will jump into the river. Do you understand?
She stared at him, her eyes widening.
That is suicide.
It's freedom, and it's the only way to keep the secret safe. What secret?
Her voice trembling.
The one I carry, the one Vane thinks he can buy.
Ilara looked down at the wooden bird in her hands. She turned it over in her fingers, then slid it across the floor of the wagon toward Jace. It was warm to the touch, carved from heartwood and polished smooth by decades of handling.
Take this. It belonged to my husband. He was a locksmith for the Citadel. He died trying to pick its locks.
Jace took the bird, his fingers tracing the intricate gears hidden within its body. There was metal inside, tiny, precise mechanisms that clicked softly as he held it.
Why give this to me? Because you look like a man who knows how to turn keys, and because I'm tired of running.
The wagon hit a particularly rough patch, throwing Jace against the side of the box. The iron manacles bit into his wrists, drawing blood. He ignored the pain, focusing on the bird in his hands. A promise?
Tell me about the Citadel.
Keeping his voice low.
What are its weak points?
Ilara hesitated, looking toward the guard.
You speak of treason while sitting in chains.
I speak of survival, and I am not a traitor. I am a correction.
The guard turned fully around now, his face grim.
Enough talk. We approach the toll.
Jace looked up through the slats. At the base of the bridge, a small stone gate stood open. Inside, 3 figures waited, not inquisitors, but guards in simple gray tunics, holding spears. They did not wear the royal crest, but they wore the mark of the bridge wardens, a black eye on a white field. Vane stepped out of his carriage ahead, walking toward the gate with his cane tapping against the stone. He spoke to the lead warden, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek. Jace could not hear the words, but he saw the warden nod, then step aside to let the procession pass. Jace felt a surge of hope, sharp and dangerous. If the wardens were loyal only to the bridge, not the king, they might be swayed, or at least distracted.
Listen to me. When we cross, I will create a distraction. You take your chance then, and if you fail,
Jace looked at the wooden bird in his hand, then at the dark water below.
then I join you.
He stood up, straining against the chains, until he was standing on the bench seat of the wagon. The guard's eyes widened.
Sit down.
The guard barked, reaching for his dagger,
No,
his voice carrying clearly over the roar of the river.
I am done sitting.
The guard lunged, but Jace kicked forward, shoving the man's chest with surprising force. The guard stumbled back into Ilara, knocking the air from her lungs. He slammed the carved bird against his iron-manacled wrists. The wood groaned, then snapped, revealing a hidden pin that struck the lock mechanism with a sharp click.
Let go.
Drawing his dagger, Jace ripped his hands free.
Too late.
He did not attack the guard. He grabbed Ilara's arm and pulled her toward the open side of the wagon. The rain lashed their faces, cold and biting. Below, the chasm swallowed the sound of the river in a deafening roar.
Jump.
Looking down at the white water, Ilara shook her head, clutching the broken halves of the bird.
My legs won't work.
Then I will throw you.
The guard raised his dagger. Vane turned from the gate, his face a mask of cold fury. He did not shout orders, he simply raised his hand, and 2 wardens drew their spears. The threat was immediate, silent, and absolute.
You have no magic.
Backing toward the edge,
None.
I have teeth.
stepping closer. Jace smiled. He grabbed Ilara's waist and leaped. The wind stole the breath from Jace's lungs as they fell, a screaming vacuum that dragged at his clothes and skin. For a heartbeat, there was only the roar of the chasm and the terrifying weightlessness of surrender. Then the air slammed back into him as Ilara's body hit his shoulder, turning their descent into a chaotic tangle of limbs and leather. They struck the lower stone terrace beneath the bridge's arch with a bone-jarring impact that sent stones skittering into the white foam below. Jace rolled, his hand finding purchase on wet moss, and came up in a crouch. His ribs screamed in protest, but no bones were broken. Ilara lay still for a moment, then gasped, pushing herself up on trembling arms. She looked pale, her eyes wide with shock, not pain,
Are you alive?
extending a hand. Ilara stared at it, then at his face.
Barely.
She took his hand and pulled herself up,
You fell from 10 feet. You should be dead.
I have good landing instincts.
checking his wrists. The manacles were gone, torn away in the fall or disintegrated by the impact. He flexed his fingers. The iron scars remained, but the metal was gone. Above them, on the bridge level, shouts erupted. Shouts of anger and betrayal mixed with the clatter of steel.
We have seconds before they realize we aren't in the cage anymore.
Grabbing her arm,
Move.
they scrambled up a steep, narrow service path that clung to the cliff face, hidden by dense ivy that had grown wild over centuries. The smell of ozone from the storm above was thick here, mixed with the damp rot of moss and old stone.
Why did you jump?
Her voice raw,
We could have waited for a guard to slip up.
Vane would never let us out.
not slowing down. He pointed ahead, where the path forked toward a dark cave entrance halfway up the cliff wall.
He was going to sell me to the highest bidder. Or worse, keep me in that box until I forgot who I was. Who are you?
Stumbling over a root, Jace stopped and turned to her. He didn't answer with words. He looked at the scar on his own palm, then back at her.
I am the reason your husband died.
Ilara froze. The wind whipped her hair across her face, but she didn't brush it away. Her expression shifted from fear to a cold, hard recognition.
The locksmith? He tried to pick the royal seal's lock.
He died because I asked him to. Because I needed to know if the magic in my blood could break iron. It can't, but it can wake things that are asleep.
Ilara stared at him, her breath hitching.
You're a mage.
I am a king who lost everything.
Jace corrected.
But yes, I have magic. It's not much right now. Vane stripped most of it when he took the seal. But what's left is sharp.
A shout came from below. A warden had spotted them, pointing and signaling to another guard higher up the path. The distant sound of boots running on stone echoed through the gorge.
They'll block the upper exit.
Her voice steady now,
The cave leads to the Undercity. It's forbidden.
Good thing I'm already forbidden.
pulling her into the darkness of the cave mouth. The air inside was still and cold, smelling of earth and old water. He lit a small flame with a snap of his fingers, the violet glow illuminating damp walls covered in strange glowing fungi. Ilara watched the light with fascination, then fear.
That's not royal magic.
Royal magic is gold and fire.
Walking deeper into the tunnel,
This is shadow and silence. It's what my father used before he was crowned. Vane took the crown, but he couldn't take this. Not without killing me first.
And he didn't?
Because I was useful, as a bargaining chip, as a leash.
they walked in silence for a long moment, the only sound their footsteps and the distant drip of water. The tunnel widened into a natural cavern, where a small underground stream flowed into a larger pool. In the center of the pool stood a stone pedestal carved with symbols that matched the ones on the Black Bridge.
What is this place?
The first gate.
He approached the pedestal, his eyes narrowing.
My grandfather built this network. A way out for kings who failed. Vane thinks he destroyed it all, but some secrets are deeper than stone.
He reached out, touching the symbols on the pedestal. They glowed faintly, responding to his touch.
If I can activate this, I can open a path through the Undercity. Out of the city entirely.
Ilara stepped closer, peering at the carvings.
You need a key. Look, the symbols are incomplete. They're waiting for something.
Jace frowned. He ran his fingers over the grooves,
I don't have a key.
Not a physical one.
pulling the broken halves of the wooden bird from her pocket. She held them out.
A metaphorical one. The mechanism inside. It's not just for locks. It's for resonance.
Jace looked at the bird, then at the pedestal. He placed the pieces on the stone. Nothing happened.
It needs blood,
Jace realized.
or intent.
I have intent.
She pricked her finger on a jagged piece of metal from the bird and let a drop fall onto the stone. The symbols flared bright blue, then faded.
More.
He cut his own palm with a shard of stone, letting blood mix with hers. The pedestal pulsed, and a section of the far wall shifted, revealing a hidden staircase spiraling down into total darkness. The air from the stairs was cool and fresh, carrying the scent of rain and distant smoke.
It works.
A rare smile touching his lips.
We're in.
Ilara looked at him, her eyes wide.
You knew it would work?
I hoped, Hope is the only currency I have left.
He gestured for her to go first. As she descended, she paused and looked back.
Jace, what happens when we get out? Where do we go? To the shadows,
Following her down.
where Vane can't see us.
Vane will hunt us. He has the city guards. He has the Inquisitors.
Let him come.
His voice was low, but it carried in the confined space.
He has an army. I have a secret.
They reached the bottom of the stairs and stepped onto a muddy bank beside a subterranean river. The water was black, reflecting nothing. Along the bank, makeshift shelters were pitched with tattered canvas and scavenged metal. Dozens of people sat in the gloom, watching them approach. They were dirty, thin, and worn, their eyes hollow with years of hiding. A woman stood up from a nearby fire, wiping her hands on a rag. She was older, her face mapped with wrinkles, but her posture was rigid. She wore a cloak made of patches, each piece a different shade of gray.
Who enters the Undercity?
Her voice raspy, Jace stepped forward, holding up his blood-stained hand.
I am Jace of House Thorn. I seek sanctuary.
A dry, barking sound.
Sanctuary? There is no sanctuary here, Prince. Only survival. And you reek of the sun.
I have paid my dues.
He tossed the wooden bird to her. It landed with a clatter on the stones.
The locksmith's son gave this to me before he died. Tell him I kept his promise.
The woman picked up the bird, her hands trembling slightly. She opened it, revealing the broken gears. Her face paled.
Where did you get this?
From Ilara's father, he died for my freedom. I intend to make it worth something.
The woman stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly.
I am Morwen, former archivist of the Citadel Library. Now, nobody.
She gestured to the dark tunnels branching off in every direction.
You want to hide from Vane? You can stay, but you work. We do not feed kings.
I know how to work.
He looked at the gathered crowd, then back to Morwen.
I know how to steal secrets, and I know how to break them.
Morwen's eyes narrowed.
You're bold for a fugitive.
I'm desperate.
Jace corrected.
There's a difference.
Ilara stepped forward, standing beside Jace.
He's right. He's not just running. He's building something. And he needs people who know the old ways.
Morwen looked at Ilara, then at Jace. She sighed, a sound like wind through dead leaves.
Fine. But if Vane finds you here, we'll all die, and I won't go quietly.
Vane won't find us. Not as long as I'm in the shadows.
Morwen turned and walked away, disappearing into the gloom. The crowd returned to their tasks, ignoring the new arrivals. Jace exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. He had a foothold, a place to start, but the cost was high. He was now leader of a hidden city of outcasts, and he had no idea how to rule them. Ilara touched his arm.
You did good.
For now,
Watching the shadows stretch along the walls,
now we wait for Vane to make his next move.
Will he?
Jace smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes.
He always does. Arrogance is a predictable trait.
Above them, far up in the mountains, the storm broke. Thunder rolled across the land, shaking the ground beneath their feet, and Jace knew exactly how to stop it. The silence of the Undercity was not empty. It was heavy, pressing against Jace's ears like deep water. He had secured shelter, but Morwen's warning hung in the damp air. You reek of the sun. And Vane would not stop because a prince fell from a wagon. Jace crouched by the fire pit Morwen had pointed out, poking at the dying embers with a piece of charred wood. Ilara sat across from him, wrapping her torn cloak tighter around her shivering shoulders,
Vane?
her teeth chattering slightly. Ilara looked up from her hands.
You said you had a plan, not just running.
Jace dropped the wood into the embers, watching the sparks spiral upward before vanishing into the darkness of the tunnel ceiling.
I have a map. Or I did. Now I have my head and your knowledge of the old locks. We need to move out of this camp before dawn.
Why?
Jace stood up, brushing dirt from his knees. Ilara nodded slowly, pushing herself to her feet. Her legs were stiff from the fall and the cold stone floor.
Where do we go?
The Tinker's District. It's below the city's sewage lines. Vane's spies are too arrogant to look there. They think nobody lives in the filth. And if they're wrong, then we learn to hold our breath.
Morwen appeared from the shadows behind them, her patchwork cloak rustling like dry leaves. She carried a bundle wrapped in oilcloth and tossed it at Jace's feet.
Boots. Size matters not. You wear what fits or you walk barefoot and bleed on my floors.
Jace picked up the bundle, feeling the weight of the boots inside.
Thank you.
Don't thank me.
Her eyes cold.
Pay me with secrets. Vane's routes. His guard rotations. The location of his secret vaults. Give me that, and I let you walk out my back door alive.
Jace looked at Alara. She gave a barely perceptible nod. He turned back to Morwen.
I don't have those secrets yet, but I know where Vane keeps his supply lines for the bridge tolls. That's a start.
Breadcrumbs. Not enough to buy your life.
Then starve. But if you kill me, Vane burns this entire district to the ground when he finds out you harbored him. You want to die for pride? Or do you want to live to see the king fall?
The old woman studied him for a long moment, her gaze stripping away his pretense until only the raw intent remained. Finally, she spat on the ground.
The north tunnel. Past the rat pits. Watch your step. The wood is rotten.
She turned and vanished into the gloom before Jace could respond. Ilara grabbed his arm as Morwen disappeared.
You're playing a dangerous game, Prince.
I'm playing to win. Come on. We have 3 miles of sewer to cross.
They moved through the Undercity with Morwen's guidance, slipping between the sleeping forms of the outcasts who had long ago stopped looking up at the world above. The tunnels were narrow, slick with moisture and waste. The air grew thick with the smell of decay and stagnant water. Jace kept his head low, his hands tucked into his sleeves to hide his trembling fingers. The magic was still dormant, suppressed by Vane's seal, but it pulsed beneath his skin like a second heartbeat. They reached the edge of the rat pits, a wide cavern where hundreds of glowing-eyed vermin scuttled over piles of trash and bones. A narrow wooden bridge spanned the gap, swaying precariously in the draft.
Stay low. Don't look down.
I'm looking at you. If I fall, you're carrying me.
If we fall, we die together. Keep moving.
They crossed the bridge in silence, their boots slipping on the wet planks. Halfway across, a rat leapt from the pile below, landing on the bridge with a skittering sound. It hissed, its nose twitching as it sensed the warmth of their blood. Jace froze, his hand going to the knife at his belt. Alara backed away, her eyes wide. The rat shrieked and lunged for Jace's ankle. He sidestepped, kicking it back toward the edge, but its claws raked his boot, tearing through the leather. Another followed, then 3 more. The pile below began to churn,
They're hungry.
her voice rising in panic.
We need to go.
Jace looked at the bridge behind them. It was too far to retreat. He looked at the wall of rats ahead. He closed his eyes for a fraction of a second, reaching out with his mind, not his magic, but his will. He focused on the fear he could sense from them, the hunger, the pain, the desperation that mirrored his own fear. He projected silently. Run. It was not spell work. It was pressure. A subtle shift in the emotional weight of the space. The rats hesitated, their heads tilting in confusion. In that moment of uncertainty, Jace grabbed Alara's hand and ran across the remaining span of the bridge, throwing himself onto the far ledge just as the mass of vermin surged forward to claim the empty wood. They scrambled down into a lower tunnel, the sounds of skittering claws fading behind them. Jace leaned against the wet stone wall, breathing hard. Alara stared at him, her face pale in the dim light of a distant fungal glow.
Nothing.
Pushing himself upright.
Just a distraction. Keep moving, but you stop them, without magic, without words.
Jace glanced at her, his expression unreadable.
I told them to run. Sometimes people listen when you speak with your intent, not your voice.
The tunnel widening into a large circular chamber where the main flow of the city's waste converged. In the center stood a massive iron door, rusted shut and marked with the symbol of the Royal Water Authority, a gear inside a wave. Alara looked at the door.
It's locked with a 3-tier combination, and it's rusted solid.
Jace walked up to the door, examining the mechanism. He pulled the wooden bird from his pocket, holding it in one hand while he pressed the other against the cold iron. The gears inside the bird clicked softly, resonating with the lock's frequency.
I need time. And quiet. Quiet.
Alara looked around. The only sound was the rushing water and the drip of condensation.
It is quiet.
Not for them.
He pointed to a grate high up on the wall, where shadows were shifting against the light from above.
Vane's scouts. They're watching the tunnels. They'll hear the lock picking if I do it too slowly.
He turned back to Ilara.
I need you to create a diversion up there.
Me? How? I'm not a mage, Jace. I'm a librarian's wife who got lucky.
You're fast, and you're invisible to people who expect nobility. Go up that ladder. Smash something valuable. Make noise. Draw their eyes upward so they don't hear my hands.
Ilara looked at the ladder, then at Jace.
What if I'm caught?
Then I'll have to improvise. Go.
Ilara hesitated for only a second before sprinting toward the ladder. She climbed quickly, her movements agile despite her fear. Above, a grunt of surprise echoed down the shaft, followed by the clatter of metal on stone. Then came the shouts' human voices, confused and angry. Jace didn't wait to hear the rest. He turned back to the door, inserting the wooden bird's pin into the keyhole. The gears within aligned with a soft click. He began to turn it, his muscles straining against the resistance of years of rust. Click. The first layer disengaged. Click. The second. Click. The third. The door groaned, a sound like a dying beast, and then swung inward with a violent bang. Cold, fresh air rushed in, carrying the scent of salt and rain. Beyond lay a dark passage leading down to the sea. Jace stepped back, allowing Ilara to come down the ladder. She landed beside him, breathless and grinning.
Did you hear that? They're fighting over a chandelier. It was worth it. We're not done.
Pulling her toward the opening.
Vane will be back soon. We move now.
They stepped out of the sewer gate onto a rocky beach, the waves crashing against the stones below. The storm had passed, leaving the sky clear and star-filled. In the distance, the lights of the city burned like a crown of fire on the horizon. Jace looked at the sea, then back at the tunnel they had just exited,
Boat.
shivering in the night air.
No.
Turning toward the dark line of the coastline, where fishing nets hung like ghostly webs.
We take what we can find, and we burn the rest.
Shadows don't burn, Jace. The voice was low, scraping against the wet stone like a knife on whetstone. Jace froze, his hand still wrapped around the rough hemp of a nearby net. Ilara dropped into a crouch behind him, her breathing shallow and sharp. From the darkness beyond the fishing gear, a figure stepped forward. He wore no uniform, only a long coat stained with grease and salt. His face was half hidden by a scarred mask that covered his left eye and nose, but his right eye was pale blue and utterly calm.
Who are you?
His voice steady despite the adrenaline hammering in his chest. The stranger tilted his head.
You can call me Kale, and I'm not asking who you are because I care about your name. I care about what you're holding.
Jace looked down at his empty hands, then back up.
I hold nothing but air and bad decisions.
A dry, humorless sound. He gestured to the water with a nod of his head.
Liar. You just opened the Royal Water Authority gate using a lockpick made from your father's pocket watch. The wardens felt that click 3 miles away. Vane knows you're here.
Ilara shifted behind Jace, her hand brushing the hilt of the small dagger she'd stolen from the guard.
We have no time for riddles. Run.
If we run, he catches us.
Stepping slightly in front of Ilara,
If we stay, we might bargain.
Kale's good eye narrowed.
Bargain? With what? You're a prince with nothing but a dead crown and a living lie.
He took a step closer, the wet sand crunching under his boots.
Vane wants your head on a pike. I want the shadow magic he stole from your bloodline. It's in you, isn't it? Dormant? Waiting?
Jace didn't answer. He let the silence stretch, watching Kale's posture. The man wasn't attacking. He was positioning. A predator waiting for the prey to tire itself out.
I don't trade secrets. I steal them.
Then steal this warning.
Turning back toward the dark alleyways of the coast.
Vane's not alone anymore. He has a witch king at his side. And she doesn't use locks. She uses bones.
Jace watched him go, the mystery of the scarred man clinging to him like the sea mist. Ilara stood up, her legs shaking slightly.
A witch? Is that true?
No.
Though his gut twisted with cold dread, he looked out at the dark water.
We need a ship, and we need to find someone who knows how to kill magic.
Jace kicked a clump of seaweed into the surf, watching it dissolve into black sludge against the rocks. The wind off the sea was biting, carrying the smell of brine and something sharper, burnt sugar and old blood. He didn't look back at the sewers. Vane's reach would already be extending down through the drains like roots seeking water. Ilara wrapped her arms around herself, her teeth chattering in a rhythm that matched the crashing waves.
He was lying.
Her voice thin against the gale.
About the witch, about the bones.
Vane always lies.
His eyes fixed on the horizon where the city's lights flickered like dying stars.
But fear makes liars tell truths they wish were false. If there is even a 1% chance he was right, we need a counter.
By finding another liar?
Spitting into the water.
Or a corpse? You're chasing ghosts, Jace. Real men with real swords don't care about shadow magic.
Jace turned to her, his face hard in the moonlight.
Real men die when the world changes. I intend to outlive it.
A noise came from the reeds behind them, a sharp intake of breath, followed by the rustle of fabric. Jace spun, his hand going to the empty sheath at his hip where a blade had been 3 hours ago. Ilara dropped into a defensive crouch, her dagger drawn low.
Easy.
A voice croaked from the shadows.
The sea didn't bring me here. I swam for myself.
Jace signaled for Ilara to hold.
Show yourself.
A figure pulled himself up from the tangled kelp, coughing up seawater. He was young, no older than 20, with skin the color of wet clay and hair plastered to his skull. He wore a tunic that had once been white, now stained with ink and mud. In his hands, he clutched a leather satchel that looked heavy enough to break his spine.
I'm not your enemy.
Dropping to his knees in the sand,
I'm Talon. I worked in the royal archives before the purge.
Jace took a step forward, his boots sinking into the wet sand. Talon looked up, his eyes wide and watery.
Not everyone. The ventilation shafts, they led to the cisterns. I crawled for 2 days. I have something you need.
Information?
Her voice skeptical but hungry.
Or a map to safety?
Neither.
Pressing the satchel tighter against his chest.
A name and a location. The Witch King isn't just with Vane. She's waiting for him, in the sunken spire.
Jace froze,
It does,
his voice gaining strength.
and it's where Vane plans to perform the ritual of binding. He wants to merge his power with hers, to make himself immortal.
Ilara lowered her dagger slightly, her curiosity warring with her caution.
Why tell us? Why not run?
Talon let out a bitter laugh.
Because I saw what he did to my brother, and because the Witch King, she doesn't just kill. She unmade. If she wins, there won't be anything left to save.
Jace looked at the boy, really looked at him. There was no fear in Talon's posture now, only a grim resolve.
You're running out of breath, Talon, and your story is getting long.
I'm not lying. Ask me anything. Ask about the cipher code for the Warden's patrol routes. I know it all.
Jace nodded slowly.
Then prove it. Tell me why Vane exiled me.
Talon hesitated, his grip on the satchel tightening until his knuckles turned white.
Because you were the only one who could have stopped him. Your mother didn't die in an accident. She was silenced.
The wind seemed to stop for a heartbeat. Jace's hand curled into a fist, the nails digging into his palm hard enough to draw blood.
That's a lie designed to make me angry.
It's a fact designed to make you act.
Talon corrected.
But you need proof. The cipher is in this bag. Look for the page marked with a red seal. It contains the orders from Vane himself. Signed.
Jace stared at him,
And if I take it and leave you here?
Then you'll find no one else who knows.
shrugging.
But I'd rather die in this sand than watch Vane burn the world to keep his crown.
Ilara stepped closer, her dagger still raised but pointed at the ground.
He's bluffing. No one gives up state secrets for free.
Then, what do you want?
Water, and a way off this coast before Vane's scouts come looking for the intruder in the cisterns.
Jace looked at Ilara. She gave a microscopic shake of her head trap, then back to Talon.
We're leaving now. We'll take you if you lead us there without hesitation.
Where are we going?
Scrambling to his feet,
To find a boat, and then to the sunken spire.
Ilara grabbed his arm,
That's suicide. It's underwater. It's cursed.
It's a possibility.
pulling his arm free. Vane is a certainty of death. Talon says there's a place where magic can be killed. If that's true, we go there. If it's a lie, we learn what Vane fears enough to hide. Talon zipped up his satchel.
Then we're agreed?
Jace didn't answer immediately. He looked out at the dark water, where shapes moved beneath the surface, Fish or shadows or something else?
We need a ship that doesn't ask questions, and a captain who doesn't care about titles.
I know one.
Wiping mud from his face.
A woman named Morwen. She runs the Smuggler's Cove to the east, but she won't help nobles.
Jace smiled, cold and sharp.
Good. I'm not a noble anymore. And you're coming with us. If Vane wants my head, he'll have to catch me first.
Ilara sighed, sheathing her dagger.
Of course we're sailing into a death trap. Because running was never an option.
Jace turned away from the sea.
Run, Elara. I won't stop you.
Ilara looked at him, then at Talon, who was shivering in the cold wind. She shook her head.
I've come too far to turn back now. Lead on, Prince.
Jace didn't correct her. He started walking toward the east, his stride long and purposeful. Talon followed closely behind, his eyes darting between Jace and the dark trees lining the beach. Ilara brought up the rear, her hand resting on the hilt of her dagger, watching the shadows for any sign of pursuit. The three figures disappeared into the tree line, leaving only their footprints in the sand and the deepening silence of a coast that had seen too many secrets drowned. The air inside the Smuggler's Cove tasted of stale beer, unwashed bodies, and gunpowder residue. Jace kicked open the swinging door of the drowned rat, the wood splintering against the wall with a crack that silenced the low murmur of the room. 30 pairs of eyes turned toward him, hard, cynical, and instantly hostile. Morwen sat at the back table, her legs stretched out on the chair opposite her. She was a mountain of a woman, her skin the texture of cured leather, wrapped in a vest of scales that shifted color with every breath she took. A hook replaced her right hand, resting casually on the table beside an empty mug.
You have 5 seconds to explain why you just cost me 3 tankards.
Her voice like gravel grinding under a boot. Jace walked to the center of the room, ignoring the knives suddenly appearing in the hands of the nearest patrons. He looked at the hook, then up to Morwen's eyes.
I need a ship, Morwen. Tonight. Everyone needs a ship tonight.
Taking a slow sip from her mug.
Most pay for it with gold or favors. What do you bring? A smile. A dead crown. I bring information that will get Vane's wardens to burn their own fleet.
A ripple of unease moved through the room. Morwen set her mug down with a sharp clink. She didn't look surprised by the name. She looked offended by its proximity to her establishment.
Vane pays me well to pretend I don't know that name. You just reminded me of him. That's expensive.
Jace pulled the leather satchel from Talon's hands, who stood trembling behind him. He tossed the bag onto Morwen's table. It landed with a heavy thud.
Check the cipher page. If it's real, your fleet is safe, because Vane will be too busy burning his own ships to chase us. If it's fake, you can cut off my head and sell my armor.
Morwen didn't open the bag immediately. She leaned back, her good eye narrowing.
And why should I trust a banished prince over a lying scribe?
Because Vane burned my house. He's coming for this coast next, and he doesn't leave survivors.
Ilara stepped forward, placing a hand on the edge of the table. Her voice was steady, though her knuckles were white.
The boy knows the patrol routes. The prince knows the royal codes. We're not asking for charity. We're offering you a seat at the table before it's flipped.
Morwen stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floorboards. She towered over them, smelling of salt and iron.
Get out, Morwen.
Jace started,
Get out.
slamming her hook onto the table. The wood cracked.
Before I decide that killing a prince is worth the headache.
Jace didn't move. He waited for her breathing to slow, for the anger in her eyes to settle into calculation. The room held its breath. The smugglers around them shifted their weight, readying weapons, waiting for Morwen's order. Finally, she reached into the satchel with her left hand, pulling out the parchment Talon had described. She unfolded it, her scarred fingers tracing the red seal. Her eyes scanned the lines of code, her expression unreadable. 10 seconds passed. 20.
The cipher is valid.
She looked up at Jace. Vane ordered the destruction of the Western Fleet 2 days ago. They were to be used as a floating barrier.
Then he won't need this cove.
Relief washing over her face.
No.
Morwen corrected, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper.
He'll use it to block our escape routes. If Vane knows you have that cipher, he already has men hunting us. You didn't save the fleet. You just announced your position.
Jace felt the cold knot in his stomach tighten.
How many?
Morwen crumpled the paper and handed it back.
Doesn't matter how many. The point is, I'm not taking you anywhere near the sea until dawn, and even then, only if you're willing to leave your friends here as collateral.
She pointed her hook at Alara and Talon.
I take one hostage. If you fail, or if you double-cross me, the other two die slowly.
Ilara's hand went to her dagger, but Jace caught her wrist. He looked at Morwen, then at his companions. Talon was pale, clutching his bag like a shield. Ilara was defiant, her jaw set.
If we refuse.
Then you leave with nothing, and I collect my due from the sand.
Jace released Alara's wrist. He looked at Talon. The boy nodded, though his lips were white. He looked at Ilara. She held his gaze for a long moment, then slowly lowered her hand.
We'll stay, but we sleep together, and we keep our weapons.
Morwen shrugged.
Cuff yourself to the table if you want. Just don't make noise until sunrise.
She turned her back on them and walked toward the kitchen, the room slowly exhaling as the tension broke. The smugglers returned to their drinks, but Jace saw the way they watched him. Calculating, judging, waiting for a reason to strike. Ilara sat down heavily at the table, pulling Talon into the chair beside her. She leaned close to Jace, her voice barely audible over the room's noise.
She's testing you. She wants to see if you're still strong enough to command.
I'm not here to command.
Watching Morwen's back.
I'm here to survive.
Survival is a luxury. Power is the necessity.
Before Jace could respond, the door to the cove burst open again. This time, it wasn't kicked by a prince or a patron. It was pushed by a man in a vein-colored coat, his face hidden by a hood. He walked in with the arrogance of someone who knew he owned the ground beneath him. Vance, the captain of Vane's coastal guard.
Prince Jace.
His voice smooth and cold.
Or should I address you as runaway?
The room went dead silent. Morwen stopped walking in the kitchen doorway, her hook raised slowly. Jace didn't stand up. He didn't reach for a weapon. He simply looked at Vance, his eyes dark with a promise of violence that made the captain's smile falter.
You're far from your master, Vance.
Am I?
Vance stepped further into the room, gesturing to the smugglers around them.
Look around, Jace. Who do you think keeps the supplies coming? Who approves Vane's tax on every bottle of rum and sack of fish? Morwen doesn't work for Vane because she wants to. She works for him because she has to.
Morwen spun around, her hook gleaming in the lantern light.
Shut your mouth, Vance, or I'll feed it to the sharks.
A dry, harsh sound.
You're trapped, Jace. Vane isn't just coming for you. He's taking this coast, one by one, ship by ship.
Jace stood up slowly. The movement was fluid, predatory. He placed one hand on the table, his fingers curling into the wood.
Then let him try.
Vance drew a slender sword from his coat.
Try? I don't try, I execute.
He lunged. Jace didn't dodge. He stepped into the strike, grabbing Vance's wrist with his free hand and twisting. The bones snapped with a sickening crunch. Vance screamed, dropping his sword. Jace kicked him in the knee, sending him crashing to the floor. Before anyone could move, Morwen was there. Her hook sliced through the air, stopping inches from Vance's throat.
Out, before I decide to make an example.
Vance scrambled back, clutching his broken wrist, blood dripping onto the floorboards. He glared at Jace with pure hatred.
You think this changes anything? The spire is waking up, and it's hungry for your blood.
He turned and fled into the night, leaving a trail of blood behind him. The room remained silent. Morwen lowered her hook. She looked at Jace, then at the spot where Vance had stood.
Your trouble.
I'm already in it.
He picked up his bag from the table.
Dawn, be ready.
He turned and walked out of the cove, Ilara and Talon following close behind. As they stepped into the cool night air, Jace could feel eyes watching him from the shadows, not just Morwen's, but others. From the cliffs, from the tree line.
The spire is waking.
Talon hugged his bag tighter.
The old texts say the spire doesn't just house magic. It is magic, a living thing. If Vane merges with it.
Don't finish that sentence.
Jace looked back at the cove. Morwen was watching him from the doorway, her expression unreadable. He didn't know if he had made an ally or a mortal enemy, but as he walked toward the dark water, he knew one thing. Vane's game had changed, and Jace was no longer playing to survive. They reached the edge of the beach where Morwen's ship, the Wraith, waited. It was a sleek, black-hulled vessel, low in the water and silent. A single figure stood at the helm, waiting for them.
Morwen sent me. She says you're worth the risk. For now.
Jace stepped onto the deck. The wood creaked beneath his feet. He looked out at the dark horizon, where the first light of dawn was beginning to bleed into the sky.
Set sail. We have a spire to sink.
The deck of the Wraith was pitch black, save for the faint glow of bioluminescent algae clinging to the hull. The ship cut through the water with eerie silence, leaving no wake behind them. Jace stood at the bow, the wind whipping his coat around his legs. Elara sat on a coil of rope nearby, sharpening her dagger with rapid, rhythmic scrapes. Talon hovered near the mast, clutching his satchel like a lifeline,
You're not sleeping.
not looking up from her work.
Every time I close my eyes, I see the spire. Good. Keep it fresh.
Jace turned to look at her,
You're not afraid?
I'm terrified,
finally meeting his gaze.
but fear is a fuel. It burns hotter than hope. And what are you burning for? Revenge? Or just surviving the night? Both. They are the same thing right now.
A shadow detached itself from the rigging above them. Morwen dropped onto the deck with the grace of a cat, landing silently between Jace and Elara. She held a lantern in one hand, its flame steady despite the wind.
Dawn is 3 hours away. We need to talk about what happens when Vane intercepts us.
Jace didn't flinch.
He won't.
He will. My informants told me Vane has a new ally, a mage who can sense shadow magic from miles away. He'll know you're coming before we even see the spire's lights.
Elara stopped sharpening her dagger.
Who?
Morwen lit a pipe, the match flare illuminating her scarred face for a second.
Her name is Vane. No relation to the prince. She's a bone witch from the northern wastes. And she doesn't use locks.
Talon stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly.
The texts mention her. They say she can pull magic out of a person's bones.
Then we don't let her get close.
How? She controls the shadows. You're walking into her domain.
I'm not walking.
I'm running them down, and I'm taking Vane's head with me.
A short, barking sound.
You're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both.
She reached into her coat and pulled out a small, black stone. She tossed it to Jace. He caught it instinctively. It was cold to the touch, vibrating slightly in his palm.
This is a shadow anchor. It will mask your magical signature for an hour, long enough to get past her wards.
And then what?
Then you die if you can't kill her yourself. Don't waste it.
Jace closed his fingers around the stone, feeling its hum fade into stillness. He looked out at the horizon, where the sky was beginning to lighten with a sickly purple hue. The spire was rising from the mist ahead, a jagged needle of obsidian piercing the clouds.
We're here.
Jace stepped to the edge of the deck, looking down at the water. It wasn't water anymore. It was a swirling vortex of shadows, pulling everything toward the base of the spire. Figures moved beneath the surface, shapes that looked too much like people, but stretched and twisted by magic.
Morwen, drop us off at the eastern cliff. We'll take the stairs down. The stairs are guarded by warden constructs. Then we'll destroy them.
He turned to Elara and Talon.
Stay on the ship. If I'm not back in an hour, burn this vessel and run.
No, we're coming with you.
We need your book.
Pointing to Talon's satchel.
The cipher won't work without the key.
And I'm not leaving you alone with that witch.
Jace looked at her, then at Morwen. The smugress shrugged.
Do what you want. But if you die, I keep your sword.
He jumped from the deck into a small rowboat tied to the stern, the water swallowing. The hull silently. Elara and Talon followed, pulling oars that made no sound against the surface. As they approached the cliff face, the shadows seemed to reach for them. The air grew cold, thick with the scent of ozone and decay. At the base of the spire, a door stood open, revealing a dark tunnel leading inward. Jace stepped out onto the rocky shore, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. He looked back at Elara, who was pulling Talon toward the entrance.
Stay behind me. No, stay beside me.
They walked into the dark, leaving the sea behind them. The spire breathed around them, its walls pulsing with a slow, rhythmic beat. It felt alive, hungry. From the darkness ahead, a voice echoed, smooth, cold, and utterly devoid of humanity.
Prince Jace, you brought me a gift.
Jace's hand froze on his sword hilt. The air in the corridor grew heavy, pressing against their eardrums like deep water.
Gift.
The word feeling wrong in his mouth. He stepped forward into the gloom, the shadows swirling around his boots like living smoke.
I didn't bring you anything, Vane.
Vane emerged from the darkness ahead, her silhouette sharp and angular against the faint pulse of the spire's core. She wore a cloak of woven shadow that seemed to drink the light, and her eyes were two voids where starlight used to be. Behind her, suspended in mid-air by threads of black energy, floated three figures, twisted, hollowed-out husks of people, their faces stretched into masks of eternal silence.
A gift
Her voice echoing from everywhere at once.
of ambition. How quaint. You think you can walk into the heart of my domain and take what is mine?
Jace didn't raise his weapon. He kept his hands open, palms visible.
I'm here to end it, not trade.
Vane tilted her head, a bird-like motion that was utterly devoid of human grace.
End it? You are a drop of water trying to extinguish a forest fire. Do you know what happens when shadow magic touches the spire's core?
Alara stepped up beside Jace, her dagger drawn, the steel gleaming faintly in the dim light.
We'll find out if you let us try.
Vane's gaze shifted to Alara, lingering for a moment before dismissing her entirely. She turned back to Jace.
The spire is not a place. It is a hunger, and I am its mouth. Your brother didn't just steal the throne. He stole the anchor that kept this thing fed. Without it, the shadow expands, consumes, leaves nothing but silence.
You're lying.
His voice shaking but loud enough to be heard over the humming walls. He clutched his satchel to his chest.
The texts say the spire stabilizes the realm's ley lines. If it's gone,
Her tone smooth and terrible.
the world doesn't end with a bang. It unravels, thread by thread, person by person, until there is nothing left but me.
Jace felt a chill run down his spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. He looked at the hollowed-out figures floating behind her, their eyes empty, their mouths sewn shut with shadow thread.
You killed them.
They offered themselves.
Vane corrected.
They wanted power. I gave it to them, and then I took it back. They are still here, just quieter.
Ilara tightened her grip on her dagger.
We're not here for a history lesson. Where is Prince Vane?
Vane smiled, and the expression cracked her face like thin ice.
Waiting for you, in the throne room. He knows you're coming. He's been waiting for his brother to stop running and start dying.
Jace took a step forward. The shadows around him reacted, curling toward him like curious snakes. He could feel the pull of the spire, a gravitational force dragging at his soul. It wanted him. It wanted his blood.
If I go,
You let these people live.
A sound like glass breaking.
You have no power to bargain with me, little prince. You are already dead. The only question is whether you stay dead or become something else entirely.
She raised a hand, and the shadows in the corridor surged forward. They parted, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. At the bottom, a door of black iron stood ajar, leaking cold air.
Go, or I start with the girl first.
Ilara lunged forward, but Jace caught her arm.
no. We go together, or not at all.
Vane's eyes narrowed.
You think you can protect her? She is already gone. I have marked her.
Jace looked at Ilara, seeing the faint black veins creeping up her neck, the same mark that had started on his own hand when he touched the cursed blade. He hadn't noticed it before. Now he saw it clearly, pulsing in time with the spire's heartbeat.
You're wrong. She's not gone yet.
He grabbed Ilara's hand and pulled her toward the stairs. Talon followed, his legs trembling but his face set in grim determination. Vane watched them go, her expression unreadable.
Run while you can, Jace. The shadow is waking, and it is hungry.
They descended into the dark, the air growing colder with every step. The walls of the staircase were lined with bones, human bones, stacked in perfect rows, glowing faintly with residual magic. Ilara pulled out her dagger and slashed at the nearest pile, but the bones didn't scatter. They held together, fused by shadow threads that snapped back like whips.
Careful. They're trapped.
By what?
Wiping sweat from her brow despite the cold,
By fear.
a voice echoed from the walls. It wasn't Vane. It was deeper, older, and filled with a sorrow that made Jace's chest ache. Fear is the only thing stronger than shadow. Jace stopped dead. The voice was familiar. Too familiar.
Who's there?
His sword drawn now, the blade humming with violet energy. The shadows on the wall coalesced into a figure, a tall, gaunt man in tattered royal robes, his face half consumed by shadow. His eyes were hollow, but they held a flicker of recognition.
Father.
The figure smiled, but it was a sad smile, full of regret.
Jace, you look like your mother.
Or is this another trick?
I am what remains. The shadow took my body, but not my mind. Not yet. I've been waiting for you to come home.
Jace lowered his sword slightly, his heart pounding in his chest.
Home. This place. It's not home. It's a prison.
It is both, the ghost replied, and it is becoming a tomb. Vane has changed the rules of the game. The spire no longer needs a prince to feed it. It needs a sacrifice, one who knows the bloodlines, one who knows the secrets. Jace felt a knot tighten in his stomach. I am saying, the ghost said, his form flickering, that you cannot win this fight with steel. You must win it with truth. The truth of what Vane really is. Vane isn't who she says she is, Jace realized aloud. No, the ghost confirmed. She never was. Look to the shadows, Jace. Listen to their whispers. They remember who she really was before the spire stole her soul. The stairs shuddered beneath their feet. A deep rumble echoed from above, shaking dust from the ceiling. She is coming, the ghost said urgently.
Go, now, to the core. You must break the anchor before she merges with it.
But I don't know how.
Jace started,
The truth will show you.
his form fading into mist.
Trust your blood, trust your shadow, and trust Alara.
The ghost vanished, leaving only silence in its wake. Alara stared at the spot where he had stood.
Did you just talk to a ghost?
Your father is dead. You saw the burial rites. You heard the eulogy.
Jace looked at Talon, then at Alara.
Did I? Or did I just hear what I wanted to believe?
The rumble grew louder. The shadows in the corridor began to swirl faster, forming shapes that looked like grasping hands.
We need to keep moving
Her eyes wide.
before whatever's above us decides to come down.
Jace nodded, sheathing his sword. He didn't know what he had just heard, but he knew one thing for certain. Vane was not the only monster in this spire, and he wasn't sure which one was more dangerous.
I buried him myself.
Talon didn't look up from the floor, where he was tracing patterns in the dust, with a trembling finger.
Bodies lie. Memories don't. But ghosts. Ghosts are just echoes of what we're afraid to forget.
Stop it.
He turned away from them, staring at the swirling black vortex forming ahead of them. The stairs ended abruptly, opening into a vast circular chamber. In the center floated a massive crystal, pulsing with a rhythm that matched the beating in Jace's ears.
We're here to stop the merging, not to dissect my family history.
Alara stepped closer to him, her shoulder brushing his arm. She didn't offer comfort. She offered proximity, a solid thing in a shifting world.
If he was real, then there's a chance we can break the link. If he's just an echo, then Vane is reading your mind, which means we move faster.
Vane isn't just watching.
Standing up and wiping dust from his knees, he opened his satchel, pulling out a thick, leather-bound book bound in silver chain.
She's broadcasting. The spire amplifies everything inside it. If my father spoke, everyone listening will know you're vulnerable.
Let them listen.
He walked toward the edge of the platform, looking down into the abyss below the crystal. There was nothing but mist and the faint glow of distant lights.
She wants me to hesitate. She wants me to doubt my own blood. That's the trap.
And how do you break a trap set by a god?
She drew her dagger again, testing the balance. The steel hummed, reacting to the ambient magic.
By ignoring it.
He pulled the shadow anchor stone from his pocket. It was warm now, humming in time with the crystal above.
Morwen gave me this to mask my signature, but it's also a conductor. If I touch the anchor point while wearing it, I can channel the shadow back into itself.
Talon flipped through the pages of his book, stopping at a diagram that looked dangerously like a schematic for the spire's core.
The texts warn against direct interaction with the core without a grounding wire. You could burn out your nervous system instantly.
I've been burning since I touched that blade. This is just acceleration.
Alara grabbed his wrist. Her grip was iron-hard, fingers digging into the flesh above his pulse point.
Jace, stop! Look at me!
You're not a martyr.
Her voice low and fierce.
You're the heir. Heirs don't throw their lives away as bets. They spend them like currency. Make it count. I intend to buy freedom with this.
Then stop talking about dying. Talk about living. What's the plan? How do we get down there?
Jace pointed to a series of floating stone steps that spiraled upward from the abyss, leading directly to the base of the crystal. They were invisible unless you knew where to look, shimmering like heat haze in the cold air.
The stairs are only solid if you walk on them. If you stop moving, they vanish. If you fall, you hit the bottom.
And the bottom?
His voice rising an octave. It wasn't coming from behind them anymore. It was everywhere. There is only the core, and you are all going to feed it. When their vision cleared, Vane stood at the edge of the platform opposite them. She had descended silently, her black robes blending perfectly with the shadows. Behind her floated 3 more husks, their faces stretched into screams.
You talk too much, brother.
Her face was beautiful and terrible, her skin pale as moonlight, her eyes voids of absolute black.
Always did. Even when you were 10, crying over your dead dog because he had a flea. You cared about every little thing. I care about things that matter.
Stepping onto the first invisible stair, he took another step, then another, moving toward the center.
Unlike you, who cares only for power.
Power is the only truth.
Her composure cracked, revealing a glimpse of the raw, jagged emotion beneath.
Everything else is a lie told to keep the weak docile. The crown? A fiction? Magic? A resource. I am taking back what was stolen from me.
You're killing people.
Running alongside Jace on the invisible path. Her feet slapped against empty air, but she stayed upright, matching his pace.
You're turning them into dolls.
I'm freeing them.
She raised both hands, and the shadows around the platform twisted, forming tendrils that lashed out toward Jace.
I'm saving them from the pain of being human. Do you know what it feels like to lose your mother? To watch your father bleed out on cold stone while the court did nothing but count their gold?
It felt like ice water injected directly into his veins.
Mother didn't die in vain. She gave you a chance to be better.
She gave me nothing.
The crystal pulsed violently, sending shockwaves through the chamber. The stairs wobbled beneath Jace's feet. He dropped to one knee, grabbing Alara's hand to steady himself. Talon grabbed Alara's other side, his face pale with strain.
Keep moving. Don't look at her. Just keep moving.
Talon nodded, sweat beading on his forehead. He opened his book again, reading from a passage that glowed with faint blue light.
The anchor point is right there.
He pointed to a small, dark knot in the base of the crystal.
But it's protected by a ward. You need a key.
I am the key.
A harsh, broken sound. She stepped onto the path toward them, her feet touching solid stone where Jace saw only air. She had built the stairs. She controlled the geometry of the room.
And you cannot touch it without my permission.
Jace stood up, pulling his sword. The blade glowed violet, cutting through the shadows like a hot knife through butter. He charged forward, Alara and Talon right behind him. Vane didn't move. She watched him come, her expression bored.
Still so eager to please with violence. It's pathetic, Jace.
As Jace closed the distance, he threw the shadow anchor stone into the air between them. It spun, releasing a wave of dark energy that disrupted Vane's concentration. The stairs beneath her feet flickered and vanished for a split second. Vane dropped, falling 10 feet before landing on a newly formed platform she snapped back into existence with a curse. Her composure shattered completely.
You little bastard.
Now.
He leaped across the gap to the crystal's base, his sword raised. Talon slammed his hand onto the book. The pages fluttered wildly, then locked open to a specific page. A beam of light shot from the text, striking the dark knot in the crystal. The black veins on Jace's neck burned hotter than ever before, spreading up his jawline toward his ears. He gritted his teeth, ignoring the pain, and drove his sword into the knot. The chamber shook. The crystal cracked down the middle. Vane shrieked, a sound of pure rage. She lunged at Jace, her hands forming claws of solidified shadow.
No, you don't understand. I'm doing this for us.
Jace dodged her strike, rolling under her arms. He came up behind her, grabbing her by the collar of her robes and slamming her face first into the crystal's base. The impact cracked her nose, blood dripping onto the stone.
Let go of the throne.
His voice calm despite the chaos around them.
And I'll let you live. I would rather die than give it back to you. You're weak. You're soft. You're not the king this realm needs.
Maybe.
He pulled a second dagger from his boot and pressed it to her throat.
But I'm the one holding the knife right now.
Shards of black glass rained down around them, dissolving into smoke before they hit the ground. The shadows in the room began to dissipate, returning to their natural state, just darkness. Vane stopped struggling. She went limp, her eyes rolling back in her head. The husks floating in the distance collapsed into piles of ash. Silence fell over the chamber, heavy, suffocating. Jace stepped back, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. The black veins on his neck had receded, leaving only faint scars. He looked at Vane's unconscious form, then at Talon, who was slumped against a pile of rubble, clutching his book like a shield. Alara stood beside him, her dagger still drawn, watching the shadows for any sign of movement.
Is it over?
His voice hoarse. Jace looked up at the cracking crystal. A single drop of black liquid fell from the fissure, hitting the floor with a sizzle.
No. It's just beginning.
From the darkness beyond the chamber, another voice echoed. Deep. Ancient. Angry.
You have broken the lock.
The voice rumbled. Now open the door. The voice did not come from the walls. It came from her. Vane's unconscious body convulsed, her back arching as black veins pulsed beneath her skin like living roots seeking water. Her eyes snapped open, not human pupils, but swirling voids of violet fire.
She's not done.
Shoving Talon behind him.
Get back.
Talon scrambled backward, his boots slipping on shattered glass.
I told you, the anchor was temporary. You didn't break the link, you just weakened the seal.
I know what I did.
Raising her dagger.
Jace, look at her chest.
Vane's ribcage split open with a wet tear of fabric and flesh. But there was no blood. Inside the cavity of her torso, a second heartbeat, a jagged shard of obsidian pulsing in rhythm with the spire above them. Each beat sent a shockwave through the floor, cracking the stone beneath Jace's feet.
The core is inside her.
Horror stripping the color from his face. Jace stepped forward, sword raised high. The violet glow of his blade reflected in Vane's dead eyes.
Then we cut out the heart.
Do not touch her.
A new voice cut through the chaos, sharp, precise, and terrifyingly calm. Morwen dropped from the ceiling shaft above them, landing silently between Jace and Vane. She held a curved dagger made of pure white crystal, its edge humming with a frequency that made Jace's teeth ache.
She's infected.
Her eyes never leaving Vane's pulsing chest.
If you strike that heart, the backlash will level the entire Western District. Thousands die. For what? A prince's pride?
Jace lowered his sword an inch.
She killed my father.
She was used.
Morwen corrected. She turned to Jace, her expression hardening,
How do we stop it?
his voice trembling. Morwen sheathed her crystal dagger. She reached into her coat and pulled out a vial of clear liquid that swirled with gray smoke.
We contain it. Until I find the source.
Contain what?
Stepping up beside Jace.
That thing is going to explode any second. How do you stop a heartbeat?
You don't stop it.
She uncorked the vial and poured the liquid onto Vane's exposed chest. The gray smoke hissed as it touched skin, spreading across her ribs like ivy. The obsidian heart slowed its pace, then stopped entirely. Vane's body went rigid, suspended in a stasis of ice-gray veins.
We freeze the infection. We keep her alive until I can burn the root.
Jace stared at his sister's frozen face. The black veins were still there, dormant but visible. He felt a wave of nausea.
You're going to carry her?
No.
She snapped her fingers. Shadows coalesced around Vane's body, lifting her into the air like a puppet on strings.
I'm going to leave her here as bait. Let the other shards come to her. When they do, I'll hunt them all. That's insane. If more of these things show up, we're trapped.
Exactly.
She turned toward the exit tunnel, Vane's corpse floating behind her.
Stay alive, Jace. We have a war to win, and you still don't know who your real enemy is.
Jace watched them disappear into the dark. The silence that followed was heavier than the noise. He looked down at his hands. The black veins were gone, but the cold remained in his bones.
Talon, what was that vial?
Talon flipped through his book, his hands shaking. Jace looked at the spot where Morwen had vanished.
Then we better hope she finds a cure before the spire wakes up for good.
Ilara grabbed his arm.
We need to move. Now.
Not here.
pointing to the ceiling. The cracks in the crystal were spreading upward, glowing with that same sickly purple light.
The structure is collapsing, and I think we just woke up the rest of them.
The ceiling groaned, a low tectonic growl that vibrated through Jace's boots and up his spine. Dust rained down from the fractured crystal, coating Alara's hair in white powder as she tightened her grip on Jace's forearm,
We're running out of time.
jerking him toward the tunnel entrance. Talon scrambled to his feet, clutching the ancient tome against his chest like a life preserver. He wiped mud and ash from his face, leaving dark streaks across his pale skin. Morwen said she'd handle the structural integrity. We need to move, not argue.
Morwen leaves bodies as bait.
Wrenching his arm free, he didn't run toward the tunnel. The obsidian heart still beat slowly beneath her frozen ribs, a metronome counting down their doom.
If that thing explodes while we're gone, it takes the district with it.
It's contained.
His voice cracking.
The vial held it, for now. But Jace, look at the walls.
The black veins in the crystal weren't just cracking anymore. They were pulsing. A rhythmic thrumming of violet light traveled up the fissures, converging on Vane's chest. The air grew heavy, smelling of ozone and burnt sugar. The pressure in the room dropped so sharply that Jace's ears popped,
She's not just a vessel.
stepping closer to the frozen woman despite his fear.
She's an anchor. If she dies completely, the spire below wakes up. And if she lives, it spreads.
Jace drew his sword, the blade humming with residual violet energy.
Then, I'll cut her out before it matters.
No.
Alara lunged in front of him, her dagger flashing in the dim light. She shoved Jace back with surprising strength.
You hit her once, and the backlash leveled half the slums. You think you can do it again? With what magic? You're bleeding from your nose, Jace.
He looked at Alara, really looked at her, and saw the terror in her eyes was no longer for herself, but for him.
I don't have a choice. If we leave, thousands die. If I stay, we all might.
Or,
Flipping frantically through his book.
we stabilize her. Morwen's vial only slowed the infection. It didn't cure it. But this text, it mentions a counter-frequency, a sonic resonance that can shatter the obsidian without disturbing the host.
Alara lowered her dagger slightly, confusion warring with urgency on her face.
Sonic? How do we make a sound loud enough to crack stone but gentle enough not to kill her?
Talon's eyes lit up, manic and bright.
We don't make the sound. We find the source that already is. The spire, it's singing. Can't you hear it?
Jace tilted his head. Beneath the groaning of the collapsing ceiling, there it was, a low, mournful note that seemed to originate from deep within the earth. It wasn't a noise. It was a vibration in the teeth, in the bones.
It's calling them, the other shards.
As if on cue, shadows detached themselves from the walls of the tunnel entrance. They weren't natural darkness. They were thick, oily slabs of void that moved with deliberate purpose. 3 figures stepped out of the gloom, their forms shifting between human silhouette and swirling smoke. Their eyes glowed with the same violet fire as Vane's heart. Jace, one of the shadows, spoke, its voice overlapping 3 different tones. The prince returns to his grave. Alara spun around, putting herself between Jace and the newcomers. Her stance shifted from defensive to offensive, her dagger held low.
You're too late. We have what we came for.
You have nothing, another shadow replied, stepping forward, its hand elongated, fingers stretching into razor-sharp blades of condensed darkness. Vane is ours, the core is ours, and you are merely the key that opened the door. Jace stepped up beside Alara, his sword ready. He didn't look at the shadows, he looked at Talon.
Can you do it? Break the link?
Talon nodded frantically, pulling a small silver tuning fork from his pocket.
I can match the frequency, but I need time, and I need silence.
There is no silence here.
Her eyes locked on the approaching figures. Jace grinned, a sharp, dangerous expression that didn't reach his tired eyes.
Then we'll make some noise.
He turned to the remaining shadows in the tunnel.
Hey, you want Vane? Come and take her.
The lead shadow paused, its head tilting with predatory curiosity.
You would sacrifice your ally for a moment's distraction?
I'm not sacrificing anyone.
Charging forward.
I'm baiting you.
He didn't wait for their response. He roared, swinging his sword in a wide arc that sparked against the stone floor. The violet energy flared, illuminating the chamber in harsh, strobing light. He moved like a whirlwind, not aiming to kill, but to push, to herd, to draw their attention away from Talon and Vane. Alara followed his lead, her dagger finding gaps in the shadow's defenses with practiced ease. She wasn't fighting to win. She was fighting to survive long enough for Talon to work his magic.
3 seconds.
Raising the tuning fork high,
Give me 3 seconds of clear air.
the shadows surged forward, a tide of black death crashing against Jace and Ilara's desperate defense. The chamber shook violently as the ceiling gave way, sending massive chunks of crystal raining down around them. But in the chaos, amidst the clash of steel and shadow, Talon struck the fork against a loose stone. A pure, piercing tone rang out, cutting through the noise like a needle. It wasn't loud, but it was precise. It hit the obsidian heart in Vane's chest. The violet pulsing stuttered, then stopped. For a heartbeat, there was absolute silence. Even the shadows seemed to freeze, confused by the sudden shift in the air's pressure. Then, with a sound like shattering glass, Vane's chest cracked open further. The obsidian heart fractured, revealing not blood, but a blinding white light,
Go.
dropping the fork as it dissolved in his hand.
Now, or we're all dead.
Jace grabbed Ilara's arm and yanked her toward the only exit that wasn't collapsing, the narrow maintenance shaft Morwen had hinted at, half hidden behind a fallen pillar. They dove into the darkness just as the chamber erupted in a wave of blinding white energy. The heat hit them moments later, searing their backs as they scrambled down the slick, narrow stairs. Ilara coughed, waving away the smoke that filled the shaft.
Is it done?
Jace didn't answer. He was listening. Below them, deep in the earth, the low, mournful song of the spire had changed. It was no longer a call, it was a scream, and from the dark below, something began to climb. Jace kicked the rusted grate off its hinges, sending it clattering down the vertical drop. He dropped into the darkness below, landing in a crouch that sent shockwaves through his bruised ribs. Ilara landed beside him, her boots skidding on wet stone before finding purchase. Talon tumbled after them, taking the impact to his shoulder with a grunt of pain. Above them, the white light faded, leaving only the smell of ozone and the distant, wet thud of collapsing masonry.
Is it dead?
Her voice echoing in the cramped tunnel. She didn't wait for an answer. She drew her dagger, the blade catching the faint bioluminescence of moss clinging to the walls.
If Vane is gone, what comes next?
Jace stood up, brushing ash from his coat. He looked down at his hands. The violet energy was gone, but the cold remained in his joints.
Vane wasn't the source. She was just the lens. The spire is awake now, and it's hungry.
Talon limped forward, clutching his injured shoulder. His face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead.
The song changed pitch.
His voice trembling.
It's not calling them anymore. It's hunting us.
Ilara shone her dagger's glow down the tunnel. It stretched into infinity, lined with iron rungs and slick with black slime.
Then we run faster.
There is no faster.
He pulled his book from his tunic, pages fluttering in the damp draft.
Look at the resonance patterns. The spire doesn't just kill, it absorbs. Every time it takes a soul, it grows stronger. If we keep running, it'll fill with enough power to crack the entire city.
Jace turned to him, his eyes hard.
So what do you suggest? We fight it?
No.
He flipped to a marked page, pointing to a diagram of spiraling lines.
We break its voice. I need to get to the echo chamber. It's the only place where sound can be inverted. Inverted? You're talking about magic theory, not survival.
Survival is magic theory.
Anger flashing in his eyes for the first time.
If I don't stop the frequency, the next thing that climbs out of that shaft won't be a shadow. It'll be a god, and gods don't miss.
Jace looked down the tunnel again. The darkness seemed to pulse, responding to Talon's words. He could feel it now, a low vibration in his teeth, a pressure behind his eyes. The spire was aware of them.
Lead the way.
They moved into the tunnel, the sound of their footsteps swallowed by the endless dark. Above them, the ground groaned. Then, a new sound began. Not a song, but a scrape, like metal on stone. Getting closer. 20 minutes later, they emerged into a cavernous chamber that defied logic. The ceiling was lost in shadow, but the walls were lined with thousands of crystalline shards, each one humming with a faint violet light. In the center of the room stood a massive stone pedestal, carved with runes that shifted and writhed like living things. Talon rushed to the pedestal, his book open in his hands,
This is it,
his voice shaking with excitement.
the echo chamber. If I can match the spire's frequency here, I can create a counterwave. It'll shut down the connection.
Ilara scanned the walls, her dagger ready.
How long will that take?
Long enough to die.
He stood by the entrance, his sword drawn.
We have company.
From the darkness above, figures dropped into the chamber. They weren't shadows this time. They were soldiers, wolves with eyes of violet fire and fur made of static. 6 of them landed in a semicircle around the group, snarling, their jaws dripping with black ichor.
Stay behind me.
Talon ignored them, his fingers flying over the runes on the pedestal.
I need silence. Can you keep them off me for 2 minutes? Try not to bleed on my pages.
Not looking up from his book, Jace charged the nearest wolf, his sword meeting its jaw with a spark of violet light. The beast shrieked, recoiling as the blade's energy burned its flesh. Jace didn't pause. He spun, slashing another wolf across the flank, sending it yelping into the shadows. Ilara moved like a whirlwind, her dagger finding the gaps in the wolf's armor. She kicked one in the chest, sending it sprawling, then drove her blade into its eye.
Hurry up, Talon! These things are regenerating.
I know.
He slammed his hand onto the pedestal. The runes flared, turning from violet to white.
The frequency is unstable. I need more time.
Jace blocked a clawed swipe with his forearm, the leather of his gauntlet tearing. He gritted his teeth, ignoring the pain as the wolf's claws raked deep furrows across his skin.
2 minutes.
He grabbed the wolf by the throat and slammed it into the wall, crushing its windpipe. It thrashed for a moment, then went still. Jace turned to face 3 more wolves approaching from the left. He took a deep breath, focusing on the cold in his bones. The violet energy flared in his veins, spreading down his arms like liquid fire. He didn't use his sword this time. He reached out with his mind, grabbing the shadows around him and pulling them into his fist. The shadows hardened into blades of solidified darkness. He lunged forward, a whirlwind of steel and shadow, cutting through the wolves with brutal efficiency. One wolf bit his arm. Jace didn't flinch. He grabbed its jaws with both hands and tore them apart with a sickening crunch. He kicked it away, breathing hard, blood dripping from his nose.
30 seconds.
His hands were bleeding, the runes burning his skin.
The resonance is building. Hold them.
Ilara was on her knees, fighting 2 wolves at once. Her dagger was chipped, her arm trembling with fatigue.
I'm tired of holding them. Do something.
Jace looked at Talon, then at the wolves. He saw the violet light pulsing in their eyes, connecting them to the spire above. An idea formed in his mind, dangerous, reckless, and probably suicidal.
Talon,
His voice calm despite the chaos.
when you have the wave ready, target my sword.
Talon looked at him, confused.
What?
Trust me.
He pointed his shadow blade at the wolves.
I'm going to pull the link. When I do, strike.
He didn't wait for permission. He thrust his hand forward, grabbing the invisible threads of shadow that connected the wolves to the spire. The pain was immediate, a searing agony as if he had plunged his hand into molten lead. He roared, pulling hard, forcing the connection to focus on him. The wolves stopped attacking Ilara and turned toward Jace, their eyes widening in recognition. They screeched, a sound that shattered the crystals on the walls.
Now.
Talon slammed both hands onto the pedestal. The white light exploded outward, hitting Jace's sword with the force of a thunderclap. Jace felt the energy tear through his body, but he held on, anchoring himself to the pain. The violet threads in the wolves' eyes snapped, one by one, as the counterwave ripped them free from the spire's control. The wolves collapsed, their bodies dissolving into ash before they hit the ground. The chamber fell silent, save for the humming of the crystals and Jace's ragged breathing. He dropped to his knees, his sword clattering to the floor. His arm was burned, the skin blackened and cracked. He looked up at Talon, who was staring at him with wide eyes.
Did it work?
Limping over to join them. Talon looked at the pedestal. The runes were dark. The humming stopped.
I think so, but Something's wrong.
Jace pulled himself up, gripping the wall for support,
What do you mean?
The spire isn't dead.
his voice dropping to a whisper.
It's angry, and it knows where we are.
As if on cue, the ground shook violently. Cracks spread across the floor, leading to the center of the chamber. From the fissure, a massive claw emerged, gray, scaled, and larger than Jace's torso. Jace stared at it, his blood running cold.
Run.
Jace scrambled over the crumbling stone, his boots slipping on loose gravel,
Left.
pointing toward a narrow fissure in the far wall.
The draft is coming from there. It's fresh air.
Ilara didn't question him. She grabbed Talon by the back of his coat and dragged him forward as the ground beneath them split open. The massive claw retracted, pulling itself out of the earth with a grinding roar that shook dust from the ceiling. Behind it, eyes like burning coals lit up in the darkness below. They dove into the fissure just as the floor gave way entirely. The chamber collapsed inward, swallowing the stone pedestal and the roaring beast beneath tons of rock. Dust billowed out behind them, thick and choking, but they didn't stop running. The tunnel beyond was narrow, claustrophobic, and steeply descending. The air grew colder, carrying the scent of ozone and wet iron.
Did we lose it?
Talon wheezed, stumbling over his own feet. He clutched his book to his chest like a holy relic,
Jace, tell me we lost it.
We're not safe.
his voice tight. He kept his hand on the hilt of his shadow blade, which had solidified back into a tangible weapon after the resonance surge.
It's blind now, maybe. Or hurt. But it knows the layout of the Undercity better than we do.
Ilara wiped blood from her forehead with the back of her gauntlet. Morwen said there were other shards. She reminded them, her eyes scanning the darkness ahead.
If one woke up, where are the others?
Talon stopped walking. He turned to face them, his breath pluming in the cold air.
That's the problem. The spire doesn't just have one heart. It has a network. If that thing is part of a system, then every shadow in the city is potentially connected to it.
Jace turned back, his expression grim.
Then we don't just break the link. We burn the network.
How?
She stepped closer, her dagger glowing faintly to illuminate their faces.
You're holding a magic sword and I'm holding a stick with a sharp end. We can't fight an entire city of monsters alone.
We don't have to fight them all.
He looked at Talon. Talon, you said the echo chamber was the only place sound could be inverted. Was that true?
Technically, yes,
Flipping through his pages frantically.
but applying it on a scale large enough to affect multiple anchors, the energy requirement would be astronomical. It would require a conduit, a source of pure, uncorrupted mana.
Jace looked at his hands. The black veins were still faintly visible beneath his skin, pulsing in time with the distant rumble of the collapsing spire.
I am that conduit.
No,
Grabbing his arm.
you nearly died down there. Your veins are cracking, Jace. I can see it.
I survived it.
He pulled his arm free, but gently.
And if I don't do it, the whole city dies, including us.
Talon looked up from his book, his eyes wide behind smudged lenses.
If you channel that much power through your body, you could burn out your nervous system permanently. Or worse, become a vessel for the spire entirely.
Then make sure I don't.
He walked deeper into the tunnel, his boots clicking against the stone.
Come on. If there are other shards, they'll be near the old industrial district. The iron factories provided enough metal to reinforce their forms.
Why the factories?
Falling into step beside him.
Because that's where the blood was poured.
He didn't look back.
Morwen mentioned bait. She left Vane as bait because she knew the spire would send its enforcers to check on her. That means the enforcers are already moving through the lower tunnels. We can ambush them.
Amble them?
Confused.
You mean hunt them? I mean kill them.
Jace corrected. He stopped in a wider section of the tunnel, where the walls were lined with rusted pipes and dripping condensation.
We draw them here. We trap them. And while they're distracted, I'll use the resonance to shatter their anchors.
And then what?
She leaned against the wall, catching her breath.
After you break the links? The spire is still there, Jace. At the top of the city. It's still awake.
Then we go back up,
His voice was steady, but his eyes were dark.
and I tear it down.
A sound echoed from the tunnel behind them. Heavy footsteps. Not the skittering of wolves, but the deliberate, crushing stride of something large and armored.
Company.
Slamming his book shut. Jace signaled for silence. He raised a hand, and shadows coalesced around his fingers, forming a jagged spear of darkness.
Stay behind me.
He told Ilara and Talon.
Don't move until I say so.
The footsteps stopped. Then, a voice rang out from the darkness, cold, metallic, and devoid of emotion.
Prince Jace.
Your mother sends her regrets.
Ilara stiffened,
Who is that?
I don't know,
his grip tightening on the shadow spear.
but I think she knows us well.
Ilara stepped into the dim light, her dagger still raised, the blade humming with a low, protective thrum. A figure emerged from the shadows ahead, tall, clad in armor that seemed to drink the scant light, with a face obscured by a smooth, featureless mask of polished obsidian.
Regrets are expensive.
His voice flat, the shadow spear still poised and ready to strike.
Does she send assassins or just insults?
The armored figure did not flinch at the threat. It tilted its head slightly, a jerky, mechanical motion.
My Lady Morwen values efficiency over sentiment. She also knows that the boy who breaks toys rarely survives the workshop.
Ilara lowered her dagger an inch, squinting at the mask.
Morwen? That witch sent you? I thought she was dead.
She is inconveniently alive.
Its voice still that same cold, metallic drone, filtered through a vocal modulator built into the helm.
And she would prefer you remain so. Step away from the mage and the thief, Prince Jace. Your defiance amuses her, but it no longer serves her purpose.
Jace didn't move his foot. The shadows around his spear thickened, writhing like living smoke.
My defiance is why I'm still breathing. What's your excuse?
The figure drew a long, curved blade from its back. The steel was etched with faint, glowing runes that pulsed in time with the distant rumble of the spire.
I have no excuses. Only orders. Surrender the conduit, or be dismantled.
Conduit?
Clutching his book so tight his knuckles were white.
He knows? They know I'm the key?
They know you are a variable.
Ilara corrected sharply, stepping to Jace's left flank. Her eyes darted between the masked warrior and her companions.
They don't understand what he is, and they'll find out soon enough.
I will take his head
The warrior announced, raising the blade.
and bring you both in chains for processing.
Process this.
He lunged forward, not at the warrior, but at the ground beneath him. Shadows erupted from the fissure in the floor, wrapping around the assassin's legs like iron bands. The warrior stumbled, caught off balance by the sudden grip of the darkness.
Clever.
The modulator crackled, but predictable. The assassin kicked out, shattering one shadow band with a burst of dark energy from his gauntlet. The other band dissolved under a wave of violet light. He spun, his blade carving an arc through the air that left a trail of scorched stone in its wake. Jace rolled back, narrowly avoiding the strike, and came up swinging his own spear. Their weapons clashed, shadow against rune steel with a sound like breaking glass. Sparks flew, bright and hot, illuminating the narrow tunnel in strobing flashes. Ilara moved instantly, her dagger finding the gap between the warrior's pauldrons and helm, aiming for the neck. The warrior twisted away with unnatural speed, his arm moving in a blur that defied human joint limits. He backhanded Ilara, sending her skidding across the wet stone. She hit the wall hard, gasping for air.
Ilara.
Driving his spear into the warrior's chest, the shadow tip sank deep. But instead of piercing flesh, it met a core of impenetrable force. The impact shocked Jace's arm, numbing his fingers up to the shoulder.
The spire grants protection.
The warrior recited, his voice devoid of triumph, and pain is irrelevant to duty. He grabbed the spear shaft with both hands and pulled, muscles in his armored frame bulging beneath the plates. Jace gritted his teeth, holding on, but the strength was inhuman. He was being dragged forward into the strike,
Talon.
straining against the pull.
The resonance. Now, I need time.
Talon shrieked, flipping his book open. His hands moved across the pages, tracing runes with trembling fingers.
I can't invert a frequency this fast without a reference point.
The spear is the reference.
He released one hand from the shaft and slammed his palm against the warrior's chest plate. Shadows exploded outward, engulfing the assassin's armor. The warrior stiffened, the runes on his blade flickering erratically.
System. Error.
The modulator stuttered, the voice warping into a digital screech.
Ilara, now.
Jace commanded, not looking back. Ilara pushed herself off the wall, blood trickling from her lip, and threw her dagger, It spun through the air straight into the gap at the base of the warrior's helm. The blade vanished inside with a sickening crunch. The warrior froze. The runes on his armor died. He stood there for a heartbeat, stiff as stone, before collapsing into a heap of metal and cloth. Jace dropped to his knees, gasping, his arms shaking from the exertion. The shadow spear dissolved back into mist in his hand.
Is it done?
His voice high with panic. He was scanning the tunnel, expecting more enemies.
It's down.
Rubbing her ribs as she limped over to check the body, she pried the helm off, revealing a face that was already fading into ash, no skin, no eyes, just a skull wrapped in shadow.
He's empty. A shell.
Jace leaned against the wall, closing his eyes for a moment. The black veins in his arm pulsed painfully.
How many more?
Does it matter?
Tossing the helm aside,
We can't keep fighting them one by one. If the spire is sending these things, we're walking into an army.
We don't fight the army.
opening his eyes, the darkness in them was deeper than before, swirling with violet light.
We fight the source. Talon, did you get the reference?
Talon nodded, holding up his book. The pages were glowing faintly.
I have the frequency of the Shadowbane. I can amplify it. But Jace, if I amplify it through your body, the feedback could kill us all.
If we don't try, there won't be anyone left to kill.
He pushed off the wall, his expression hardening.
Show me.
Talon hesitated, then walked to the center of the tunnel. He placed his book on the ground and began to chant, the words old and guttural vibrating in the air. The runes on the pages flared bright white, shooting beams of light into the ceiling. Jace stepped forward, placing his hand on Talon's shoulder,
Ready?
Ready.
drawing her dagger again. She looked at Jace, her eyes fierce.
Come back to us, Jace. That's an order.
Wouldn't dream of disobeying.
He closed his eyes and reached into the well of power inside him. It was cold, heavy, and endless. He pulled it out, letting it flow through his veins. The black markings on his skin spread, covering his face, his neck, his hands. The air around them grew cold. The shadows in the tunnel lengthened, reaching toward Jace like loyal hounds,
Jace,
his voice trembling.
it's too much. You're burning out.
I'm not burning.
His voice echoing with a dual tone, his own, and something deeper, older.
I'm waking up.
He opened his eyes. They were entirely black. No whites, no irises. He raised his hand, and the shadows in the tunnel rose with him, forming a towering wave of darkness that stretched ahead into the unknown.
Let's go find the spire, and let's make it regret waking us.
The wave of shadows surged forward, swallowing them whole, rushing deeper into the undercity toward the heart of the beast. The tunnel walls groaned, stone grinding against stone as if the city itself were shifting its weight to crush them. Jace did not slow. His feet moved with an unnatural rhythm, propelled by the shadows that now clung to his skin like a second layer of muscle. Alara and Talon scrambled behind him, their breaths ragged in the thinning air. They burst into a cavern so vast its ceiling was lost in mist. In the center stood a massive iron door, sealed with runes that pulsed with a sickly green light. Around it, dozens of the armored assassins paced like wolves waiting for a signal. They turned as one, their helmeted heads snapping toward the intruders.
3.
Dropping into a crouch behind a rusted pipe,
There are 3 more anchors in this room. That door is one. The other 2 are. Oh gods, Jace, those aren't doors, they're people.
Jace stopped. He looked at the green-tinged figures standing guard near the side walls, men and women encased in similar armor, but their faces were visible, slack and unconscious, their bodies fused with the metal suits.
Corpses in shells, or prisoners.
Worse.
Gripping her dagger until her knuckles turned white.
If they die, the anchors destabilize. If we kill them, we lose our leverage. How do we get past 36 enemies without waking the rest of the city?
We don't get past them.
He stepped out from behind the pipe, his hands glowing with violet energy,
We go through them.
Are you insane?
grabbing Jace's sleeve.
That's not a fight. That's a massacre. You're one man. I'm the key.
Jace corrected. He looked at Talon.
You need 10 seconds to invert the resonance of that main door. Can you do it while I hold them?
10 seconds is an eternity.
Talon stammered,
I need concentration. If anyone interrupts me,
No one will interrupt you.
pushing past Jace to stand beside him. She checked the edge of her blade.
Talon, get behind the pillar. If anyone gets close, throw a book at their face. I'll handle the flankers. Jace, you handle the center.
I don't need help handling the center.
A dark smile touched his lips.
I'm enjoying it.
Stay alive.
She darted forward, a blur of motion that put her between Jace and the nearest group of assassins. The first assassin lunged, his curved blade aiming for Alara's neck. She ducked under the swing, slashing at the joints of his knee armor. Sparks flew as steel met enchanted metal. She rolled away, coming up with a kick to his chest plate that sent him stumbling back into his comrades.
Focus, Talon.
He raised both hands, and shadows erupted from the floor, forming a wall between him and the advancing horde.
Now.
Talon closed his eyes, his hands flying across the pages of his book. The runes flared, casting long, erratic shadows against the cavern walls.
I need more time. The frequency is chaotic.
Tearing through the shadow wall like it wasn't there, he grabbed the nearest assassin by the throat, lifting him off the ground.
Then change the frequency. Use my pulse. Match my heartbeat.
Talon's eyes snapped open. He looked at Jace, terrified but determined.
It'll burn your heart.
Do it.
Jace dropped the assassin and charged into the fray. He moved faster than before, a whirlwind of blackened limbs and violet light. His fists smashed through armor plates. His legs shattered kneecaps. Each strike was precise, calculated to disable rather than kill, though the line was thin when you were hitting enchanted metal with bare hands. Alara fought like a demon, her dagger finding gaps in the armor, slashing tendons and joints. She moved around Jace, covering his blind spots, her movements fluid and deadly.
Left. You're leaving your left open.
Parrying a blow that would have taken Jace's head off.
Watch your own six.
Backhanding an assassin into a stone pillar. He spun, kicking another in the chest, sending him flying toward Talon's position. Talon screamed, throwing his book open wide. A blast of concussive sound wave hit the flying assassin, stopping him midair and crushing his ribs. The mage panted, clutching his sides.
That was close. Too close.
Keep reading.
He was surrounded now, a dozen assassins closing in on him. He raised his hands, and the shadows coalesced into a massive claw that swept outward, knocking them back. But more were coming from the tunnel entrance behind them.
Talon, the door. Is it ready?
Not yet.
Tears streaming down his face.
The resonance is building. I need a conduit. It's pulling too much power.
Use me.
He grabbed an assassin by the shoulders and twisted, using him as a shield against 3 incoming blades. The metal crumpled around his hands like paper.
Channel it through my body. I can take it.
No.
Leaping onto Jace's back to stab at the eyes of a helmeted foe.
You'll die. Jace, stop. We need another way.
There is no other way.
He threw Alara off his back to avoid a downward strike, landing in a crouch before springing forward again.
Talon, do it. Now.
Talon looked at the main door, then at Jace. He saw the black veins spreading up Jace's neck, the violet glow pulsing in his eyes. He realized with horror that Jace wasn't just holding power, he was becoming it.
Jace.
His voice breaking.
If I do this, you might not come back.
Jace paused for a fraction of a second, looking at his friend. The fighting continued around him, but he stood still, calm amidst the storm.
Then make sure I don't want to.
He looked at Alara, who was wiping blood from her eye.
I'll be fine.
He turned back to Talon and spread his arms wide, exposing his chest.
Do it.
Talon slammed his book shut and screamed a single word of power. A beam of white light shot from the book, striking Jace in the chest. Jace cried out as the energy flooded him. His body arched backward, every muscle contracting violently. The black veins on his skin turned bright violet, spreading across his face, consuming his features. He fell to his knees, trembling as the shadows in the room reacted to the surge. The assassins stopped fighting. They stood frozen, their armor rattling as the resonance built. Alara dropped her dagger, staring in shock at Jace.
Jace?
Hold them back.
His voice distorted, layered with 1,000 echoes. He struggled to his feet, his hands raised. The shadows around him formed a cage, keeping the assassins at bay.
Don't let them move. Not yet.
Talon backed away, holding the book like a lifeline.
It's working. The door is unlocking.
The green runes on the main door flickered and died, A deep, mechanical grinding sound echoed through the cavern. The massive iron slabs began to slide apart, revealing a dark tunnel beyond. But Jace didn't move toward it. He stood in the center of the room, swaying, his body smoking with violet vapor. His eyes were entirely black now, no pupils, no whites, just void.
Jace,
Stepping forward cautiously,
it's done. Come on.
Jace turned his head slowly. When he spoke, it was not with Jace's voice. It was deeper, resonant, filling the cavern like thunder. The conduit is full. The voice boomed.
The spire feels me.
Ilara froze.
Jace, is that you?
I am here, the thing in Jace's body said. It looked down at its hands, flexing the fingers as if testing a new tool. But the power, it is hungry. It wants to go back up.
No,
Stepping forward,
you have to stabilize. If you stay connected to that power, you'll lose yourself.
the figure smiled, a cold, inhuman expression. I never had myself to lose, little mage. I was empty before this. Now I am something more. He looked at Ilara. Ilara, you fought well. But this is no longer your battle.
Jace,
Her voice trembling with fear and anger.
Look at me. That's not a command. That's a threat. Who are you?
The figure tilted its head, the movement jerky and mechanical, just like the assassin's.
I am the heir of shadows, and I have come home.
He raised a hand, and the shadows in the room surged forward, lifting Ilara and Talon off their feet and pinning them against the wall. They struggled, but the darkness was unyielding.
Stay here.
He turned and walked toward the open door, his steps silent on the stone floor.
I will clear the path. Then, we see if you are still my brother in spirit.
The tunnel swallowed him whole. The lights in the cavern flickered, then died, leaving Ilara and Talon pinned in the dark, listening to the sound of Jace's retreat echoing down into the depths,
Jace,
thrashing against the shadows.
come back. That's an order.
But there was no answer, only the hum of the spire, growing louder, more angry, as the thing wearing Jace's face climbed toward its throne. Ilara's heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic rhythm that echoed the growing hum of the spire. The shadows holding her tightened, bruising her skin, but she didn't fight them. She focused on the voice, that terrible layered echo that had replaced Jace's own,
Jace,
forcing her voice to remain steady despite the terror clawing at her throat.
if you're in there, listen to me. You are not a weapon. You are my brother.
The figure stopped at the threshold of the tunnel. It turned its head back, the movement still too smooth, too mechanical. The black void where his eyes had been seemed to stare directly into her soul.
I am what he was meant to be.
The voice boomed, vibrating in Ilara's teeth.
He was weak. He hesitated. I do not.
Jace didn't hesitate to save you from that beast.
Struggling against the dark tendrils wrapping around her wrists.
He bled for you. That is who he is. You're just stealing his body because you don't have a soul of your own.
Silence stretched across the cavern. The assassins remained frozen, their metal armor rattling faintly in the draft from the open door. Talon watched, wide-eyed, his book clutched tightly to his chest like a shield. The figure tilted its head again.
A soul is a burden, a chain. I have cut them all away.
Then what are you?
His voice trembling but louder than it had been in minutes. He stepped forward, the shadows around him loosening slightly, as if the magic was responding to his presence.
If you're not Jace, who are you? The spire made you. It owns you.
A sound like grinding stone.
I serve no one. Not anymore. The spire gave me power. But I have taken control. I am the new master of shadows. And you too, you are obsolete.
He raised a hand, and the shadows around Ilara and Talon dissolved into mist, dropping them to the floor. They gasped, rubbing their wrists where the skin was already turning purple.
Go.
Turning back toward the tunnel.
Run while you can. When I reclaim my throne, there will be no mercy for those who stood against me.
Ilara scrambled to her feet, grabbing Talon's arm.
We're not leaving him. He's still in there. We just have to get him back.
Talon nodded, though fear was etched deep into his face.
The spire's core is at the top. If Jace reaches it, he might lose himself forever. We have to stop him before he merges with the anchor.
Then we move.
Pulling her dagger from its sheath. The blade glowed faintly, a tiny spark of hope in the encroaching dark. Talon flipped through his book frantically, his fingers hovering over the pages.
Like a counter frequency?
Yes, a jamming signal. But it has to be perfect. One wrong note and the feedback could kill us.
Alara looked at the tunnel where Jace, what was left of him, had disappeared. The hum was getting louder, rising in pitch until it made her ears ring.
We don't have time for perfect. We have time now.
She turned to Talon.
Can you generate a reverse resonance? Using your book?
Talon swallowed hard, nodding slowly.
I can try, but I need a source of raw mana, something pure.
Ilara looked at her dagger. It was enchanted with light magic, drawn from the sunken temple. It wasn't pure mana, but it was close enough. She held it out to him.
Use this, channel it through your book, create a pulse that matches Jace's new frequency, but inverted.
Talon took the dagger, his hands shaking slightly. He placed it in the center of his open pages. The runes on the book flared, turning from green to a blinding white.
I need 10 seconds.
His voice strained with effort.
Keep them off me. If Jace comes back, don't hesitate.
Alara drew her second dagger, positioning herself between Talon and the tunnel entrance. The shadows were stirring, coalescing into shapes at the far end of the cavern. More assassins, or worse.
I won't let you down.
Her eyes fixed on the darkness.
10 seconds.
The hum peaked, a deafening roar that shook the dust from the ceiling. And then, from the depths of the tunnel, came the sound of footsteps. Not Jace's light steps. Heavy, deliberate, coming back. Alara tightened her grip on her daggers. The climax was here. There was no turning back. The heavy thud of boots on stone vibrated through the soles of Ilara's boots. She didn't look up from Talon yet. She kept her eyes locked on the tunnel mouth, daggers raised, knuckles white around the hilts. The shadow at the end of the passage wasn't Jace anymore. Not fully. The figure stepped into the dim light of Talon's book. The violet glow illuminated a face that was Jace's, but wrong. The skin pale as ash, the eyes voids of swirling darkness that drank the light rather than reflected it. He carried no weapon. He didn't need one. Alara lunged first. She closed the distance in 2 strides, driving her left dagger toward the creature's heart. It moved with unnatural speed, catching her wrist in midair. The grip was like iron, cold and unyielding. His voice was layered, a chorus of his own tone and something deeper, something that sounded like stone grinding against bone.
Let her go.
Slamming his hands onto the open pages of his book, a wave of blue energy erupted from the runes, slamming into Jace's chest. Jace didn't move. He didn't even blink. The magic hit him and simply dissolved, absorbed into the darkness, clinging to his clothes like smoke. He looked at Talon with mild interest. He threw Alara aside. She hit the cavern wall with a sickening crunch, sliding down to land in a heap of coughs and gasps. Pain flared in her ribs, sharp and bright, but she forced herself to stand. 10 seconds, she had promised Talon. Keep him off you.
Talon, now. Give me the pulse.
Talon's face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cold damp of the cavern. He flipped a page, his fingers trembling so hard he almost tore the parchment.
I need to stabilize the frequency. If I jump ahead, it'll feedback and kill us all.
Stabilize or die.
Drawing her second dagger, she threw herself back at Jace, slashing at his throat. He caught her blade between 2 fingers, snapping the steel like a twig. The shard fell to the ground with a meaningless clink. Jace looked at the broken metal in his hand, then at Alara.
You are persistent. It is annoying. I'm your sister.
Backing away as he stepped forward. Shadows coiled around his ankles, rising up his legs like living serpents.
And you're going to stop this madness before you become a monster forever?
Monster.
Jace tilted his head.
I am what this place made me. And you are still weak, still bound by your humanity.
He raised a hand, and the shadows lashed out, wrapping around Alara's legs, pulling her down. She kicked at them, but they were solid as steel chains.
Talon.
Fighting to keep her head above the grasping dark.
The dagger! Use the dagger!
Talon looked at the light-infused dagger lying on the floor out of reach. He looked at Jace, who was advancing on Alara with lethal calm. He looked at his book. The runes were fading, his mana reserves draining fast.
I can't reach it. Then use me.
Alara struggled against the shadows.
Channel through my blood. I'm close enough.
Jace stopped. He looked at the struggling woman, then at the terrified mage.
So eager for martyrdom. Very well.
He pointed a finger at Alara. A spike of shadow formed at the tip, lengthening into a spear.
Stop him.
Dropping to his knees and slamming both hands onto the stone floor, he poured everything he had into the ground, creating a wall of earth that erupted upward between himself and Jace. Jace swept the wall aside like it was made of paper. He didn't break stride. The shadow spear shot forward, aiming for Alara's throat. Alara closed her eyes. She didn't try to dodge. She focused on the pain in her ribs, the smell of ozone, the fear in Talon's voice. She reached out with her magic, not to fight, but to feel, to find the frequency of Jace's power. It was chaotic, a storm of violet and black, but underneath it there was a thread, a single, fragile thread of gold, her brother's core. There, she thought. I see you. She didn't open her mouth to speak. She didn't need to. She pulled that golden thread with every ounce of her will, screaming silently in her mind. Talon felt it first. The book in front of him flared, not with blue light, but with a blinding, pure white brilliance. He grabbed the hilt of the light dagger and slammed it into the earth at his feet. The impact knocked Jace backward. He skidded across the stone, shadows dissipating for a split second as he regained his balance. Alara was free. She scrambled to her feet, gasping for air, clutching her ribs.
Talon, it worked!
Jace stared at the dagger in the floor. The white light was burning away the darkness around him, forcing it back into the shadows clinging to his skin. He snarled, a sound that was entirely beast.
You think you can burn me out? I am the spire now.
He raised both hands. The ceiling of the cavern cracked. Dust rained down as massive pillars of shadow erupted from the ground, surrounding them in a cage.
Run! We have to get to the upper platform.
Talon grabbed his book and the dagger. He looked at the shadows, then at Jace.
There's no running from that.
We don't run.
Limping toward the tunnel mouth.
We distract him. You get ready for the next pulse. I'll draw his fire. You cannot defeat what you cannot touch, little sister. And I am everywhere now.
He stepped forward, and the shadows surged. Alara didn't wait. She turned and ran into the tunnel, her daggers glowing faintly in the dark. Talon followed close behind, his breath coming in ragged gasps.
Keep moving. Don't let him catch us in the open.
They sprinted through the narrow stone corridor, the sounds of Jace's pursuit echoing behind them. He didn't run. He flowed, shadows lifting him up, propelling him faster than any human could move. Alara rounded a corner and skidded to a halt. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, domed and filled with ancient statues of forgotten gods. At the far end, a spiral staircase led up to a balcony overlooking the spire's core.
There.
Alara pointed.
Up there. We can anchor the resonance on the balcony.
Talon nodded, clutching his book to his chest. They ran across the chamber floor. Behind them, the shadows erupted into the room, forming a wall that blocked their retreat. Jace stepped out of the darkness, taller now, his form shifting and twisting like smoke. He was right in front of them before Alara could react. He grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. Talon raised the dagger, but Jace backhanded him across the room. Talon flew through the air and crashed into a statue, sliding down in a heap. Jace turned his head slightly, watching Alara struggle.
Tell me, when I merge with the anchor, will you feel it? Will you feel the pain of your brother dying inside you?
Alara clawed at his hand, her vision spotting. She reached out with her mind, finding that golden thread again. It was faint, but it was there.
Jace!
Forcing the name past the crushing pressure on her windpipe.
Look at me!
He leaned in closer.
What?
My brother wouldn't look at me like this. He would have mercy. No, mercy is strength, and you're not strong enough to hold him.
She headbutted him. Her forehead connected with his nose, and blood sprayed red, real blood. Jace staggered back, releasing her. She fell to the floor, coughing, but she was alive. Jace touched his nose, looking at the blood on his fingers. He stared at it for a long moment. Then he looked up at Alara, his expression blank.
Fascinating.
He raised his hand again, and the shadows behind him began to swirl into a vortex. The air grew cold, freezing the sweat on Alara's skin.
You want to save him?
The vortex expanded, pulling everything in the chamber toward it. Statues cracked, the floor trembled, and from the depths of the spire deep below the cavern came a sound that Ilara knew all too well. The roar of the beast she had fought hours ago, or days ago. Time had no meaning here. Ilara looked at Talon, who was struggling to his feet,
The vortex.
pointing.
It's drawing power from below.
Talon nodded, grimacing in pain. He turned his back on them, walking toward the vortex.
Run along now, save your friend. When you reach the balcony, I will be waiting.
Ilara looked at Talon.
We don't have a choice.
Talon picked up his book and the dagger. He wiped the blood from his lip and nodded.
No, we don't.
They ran for the spiral staircase as the vortex began to suck the air out of the room, leaving them gasping for breath with every step. The spiral staircase groaned under their weight, stone steps crumbling into dust as they scrambled upward. Below, the vortex spun faster, a deafening maw of violet light and screaming wind. The beast's roar vibrated through the soles of their boots, shaking bones loose in their heads. Ilara reached the top first, dragging Talon up the final few feet by his collar. They tumbled onto the flat stone balcony, a narrow ring of platform overlooking the core of the spire. It was a cavernous chamber, vast enough to hold a city square, with walls of black obsidian that pulsed like a heartbeat. In the center, suspended in midair by chains of pure shadow, was the anchor, a jagged crystal, the size of a house, throbbing with erratic bursts of violet energy. Jace stood at the base of the stairs, looking up. He did not climb. The shadows wrapped around his ankles, lifting him smoothly to the balcony level without effort. He landed softly, 30 feet from them, and smiled. It was a jagged, wrong expression that stretched too wide across his face.
You're close, but you are too late. We have the resonance.
Talon panted, stumbling to his feet. He held the light-infused dagger like a torch, its glow dimming rapidly.
One more pulse. If we hit the frequency right, we can shatter his connection to the anchor.
Shatter it?
Jace tilted his head.
And kill him? Kill your brother. That seems inefficient.
He isn't my brother.
Leveling her daggers, her hands shook, not from fear but from exhaustion. Every muscle in her body screamed for rest.
He's a puppet wearing my brother's skin, and I'm cutting the strings.
It was a dry, rattling sound.
Strings are fragile things. Shadows are forever.
He raised both hands. The chains holding the anchor flared, turning from black to violent violet. The crystal pulsed, and a wave of force knocked Ilara backward. She dug her heels into the stone, holding her ground, but Talon slid 3 feet, his boots scraping sparks against the floor.
Ready. I need 10 seconds. Just 10.
10 seconds is a lifetime.
He snapped his fingers. Shadows erupted from the floor around Ilara and Talon, not as tendrils this time, but as solid walls boxing them in. The air grew thick, pressing against their lungs like deep water. Ilara couldn't breathe. She clawed at the shadow wall, her fingers sinking into the darkness like it was cold water, but it had no depth, no exit. Talon slammed the dagger into the stone floor of the balcony.
Now.
The book in his other hand flared white, a blinding starburst of light that cut through the shadow walls like a knife through smoke. The resonance wave hit Jace square in the chest. He flew backward, crashing into the obsidian wall with a sickening crunch. He slid down it, leaving a trail of blood on the stone, and landed at Ilara's feet. For a moment, he lay still. Ilara dropped to her knees, gasping for air.
Talon, did you get him?
Talon stared at his hands. They were trembling uncontrollably.
I don't know. It didn't shatter. It just disrupted it.
Jace groaned. He pushed himself up, one arm bent at a sickening angle. He looked at his twisted limb, then at Ilara. His eyes were no longer black voids. They were brown.
Ilara, what? What happened?
Hope surged in Ilara's chest, hot and sharp. She reached for him.
Jace, can you hear me?
He blinked, looking at his hand, then at the dagger still embedded in the floor. He touched his nose, where blood crusted over his skin.
I remember the beast. I remember fighting it. But then...
He looked up, his eyes widening in horror.
Why am I here? Why is the spire singing?
It's over.
Letting out a breath he seemed to have been holding for an hour.
You're back, Jace. You're really back.
Jace tried to stand, but his legs gave way. Elara caught him before he hit the ground, pulling him against her chest. She held him tight, feeling the steady, rhythmic thump of his heart. Real, warm, alive.
I'm sorry.
His voice thick with tears.
I'm so sorry, El.
Elara closed her eyes, a sob breaking free from her throat.
It's okay. You're home.
Talon slumped against the wall, sliding down to sit on the floor. He wiped sweat and blood from his face, laughing hysterically. Jace looked up at the anchor. It was still there, still pulsing, but the violent violet light had dimmed to a dull, inactive gray. The chains were slack.
It's not over.
His voice was clear now, steady. He pulled away from Elara slightly, looking at Talon.
The connection is broken. Yes, but the power remains, and it is hungry.
Talon stopped laughing.
What do you mean?
Jace pointed at the core.
Look,
Tiny fissures appeared on its surface, spreading rapidly like spider webs. From within the cracks, a new light emerged, not violet, not white, but a deep, unnatural red. The spire shook, harder this time, throwing dust from the ceiling in a thick cloud.
the anchor isn't dead.
His face grim.
It's waking up, and it doesn't like being starved.
Elara helped Jace to his feet. He was weak, swaying on his legs, but his eyes were clear.
Can you fix it?
No, only someone with access to the deep roots can stop it from bursting. That requires sacrifice or a key.
Talon stood up, brushing dust off his robes.
A key? What kind of key?
Jace looked at Elara. Then he looked at the door leading back down into the spire.
The beast in the lower depths. It's not just a monster. It's a lock, and it's been waiting for me.
Elara felt a chill run down her spine.
You want to go back down there?
I have to. If I don't, this entire spire collapses, and with it, everything above it.
Talon stepped forward.
Then we go together.
No. You stay here. Keep the resonance stable. If the anchor bursts again, you need to be ready to shield us.
And you? You can't fight a beast that old with daggers.
I'm not going to fight it.
He picked up his dagger from the floor, wiping the blood off the blade.
I'm going to talk to it.
Elara stared at him.
Talk? It's a monster, Jace.
Jace smiled. A sad, weary smile.
Everything has a story, El. Even monsters. And I know how to read them now.
He turned and walked toward the stairs. He didn't look back,
Jace, be careful.
I always am.
not turning around. As he descended into the dark, the red light in the anchor flared brighter, casting long, distorted shadows across the balcony. The spire groaned, a sound of immense strain like a giant waking from 1,000-year sleep. Talon watched Jace disappear, then turned to Elara. His face was pale.
He's lying.
Elara frowned.
About what?
He doesn't know how to talk to it. He knows about the spire, but the beast in the lower depths, that's pre-spire. That's older than magic. Jace is going down there to die.
The blade was still glowing faintly, the last remnants of Talon's pulse fading away,
No.
gripping the hilt until her knuckles turned white.
He doesn't get to decide that alone.
Talon stood up, his fear replaced by a steely resolve.
Then we follow him. But quietly.
Elara nodded. She looked back at the anchor one last time. The red light was intensifying, the cracks spreading wider. Time was running out, not just for Jace, but for all of them. She turned and followed her brother into the dark, leaving Talon to watch the spire hold its breath.